Don't your feet get cold?
No, my feet are trained. My feet are like, I've trained them to -2 degrees. So I was walking around Berlin once in winter in thongs. And that's when they were starting to get like, okay, this is quite cold and icy and you can't feel them. But I don't know, skin's waterproof.
Well, I used to, in Queensland, walk around no shoes all the time. Even when I was with your grandfather, I used to walk around in summer with no shoes on all the time.
No. Did you ever live in Queensland together? No. You just went on holidays?
No. I met him up there, but no.
Yeah. All righty. Should we start?
Yeah.
Cool. Nanna. It's Jennifer, I presume, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Cacic.
Cacic. Oh, well,
Cacic.
you say it it's Croatian, because Ivan was Croatian, but they don't have a hard C in Croatian. So in Croatian you actually say Cacic. But nobody can spell Cacic, so.
Sure, okay. So driving over here, I had a question, or I had a thought, like, obviously I'm your child's child, and you're just speaking about how you're going to be you're going to have that again with Serena now.
Yeah.
Is it in any way, the idea of like me having a child, let alone a child's child, and then them interviewing me and asking me about, like, that's just such a weird concept. Is it weird at all, or you've had kids and grandkids for so long that it's kind of normal?
Yeah, sort of, yeah. I don't know. I was with some friends on Wednesday and they were saying, maybe you'll babysit. Because I didn't babysit you guys a lot, but especially Chrissy and Kelly's kids and of course Marty and Claire's. I spent half my life looking after those twins. But I think I'm too old to be looking after little ones now.
Really?
Babies.
What part of it requires that youthful energy?
Running out. Well, when they're babies, but maybe not so much, but when they start getting mobile, yeah.
And they want to jump and wreck everything.
That's it, yes.
Okay. First question I have, and I might have asked you this before, but I feel like probably not. What's the deal with the purple?
No deal. I just like it.
Yeah. For context, it's kind of like my earliest, like when I associate, especially if I go into like a kid's mind of Nanna, it is just purple. Everything's purple. Purple flower. I mean, I was thinking, can I wear purple? I don't have anything that is purple.
Well, you have, almost.
Yeah, like kind of magenta-y stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is probably the closest to purple I could get. Yeah. Have you always liked it?
I don't remember when I was like a teenager or first. I can remember years ago I was in a friend I used to work with in a solicitor's office, and we were talking about our winter wardrobe, and I remember saying to her, my winter wardrobe is all green and they're all different colour greens. So maybe it wasn't until later after that I decided that I liked purple.
So before purple was green?
Probably, yeah.
Wow.
But it's funny, my two sisters have their colours as well. Pam's red and Di's green. So there you go.
Genetic disposition to just obsess over. Are there other parts of your life that you're so, I want this one thing?
No, I don't think so. If you ask somebody else that question, it might be a different answer.
Fair enough. Okay. Well, I was being like in research for this. You sent me a bunch of like speech things, presentations you've given over the years about your life, especially your childhood growing up in the Outback. So we should start there, and not to kind of just re-say that, but you grew up in a sheep station just outside of Barcaldine?
Barcaldine.
Barcaldine, okay. Ironically, I have a mate who I stayed with on the way down here, she's on a farm and goes around following the cattle shows and whatnot. Okay. She was there like a month ago.
Oh, really? Yeah. And we had sheep and cattle, but basically the property now, when we were out there, when did we go, 2007, 6 or 7? I had never been back since we left in 1954, and we went back, all the siblings except Diane, and they don't run sheep there anymore. They only run on the property. They only run cattle. So
cattle for meat?
Oh yeah, beef cattle. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, it's not a dairying. No,
Yeah, okay. So like, I mean, I guess just to paint the picture of that, because not only is it a very foreign, exotic, maybe is the right word, kind of life experience nowadays, but then to take it back in time a bunch, to the 40s, 50s?
whatever it was, a long time. But the funny things were, well, we went out, Pam organised all this, and we went out on the property. The house had burnt down after we'd left, which we knew. Some of my siblings had been back there at various stages, but, occasionally. But the house had burnt down, so that was different. My father had built a tennis court with ant bed.
with like the mud, and he was
it was ant bed. He the big ant termite nest, so they're that high.
So he packed it on top of the earth.
So he, I don't know how old I was, but I can remember it happening. I think he would go out and collect the termites' nests and then crush them somehow. I don't know how he did that, and then lay them. But it was flat, so everything's flat out there. And then water and roll it until it was smooth, and it was very fast tennis court apparently. So
okay,
but that was gone when we went out there, back out there. The other thing we remembered was the shearing shed, which had fallen down, but we always thought that was a long way away when we were kids, but it really wasn't.
It's right there. yeah.
It was. I was probably from here to the corner away. It wasn't that but we thought it was a long way.
Sure. So how did the operation of the farm actually work? As someone who knows very little about farming, like you were saying that once a season to shear all the sheep, all these people would come in. Like what was going on? How does it even?
There was a separate building for the shearers, which was it had quite a few bedrooms and a big kitchen. The bathroom, because we had long drop toilets, you know what they are?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I do know what that, yeah.
Yeah, and we had one for our house, and then the shearers' quarters they had, and I guess they had a shower out there, I don't know, or a bath. I don't think we had showers. We certainly didn't have a shower in the house until when I was quite a lot older.
Water, are you even connected to, you're not connected to main water, I presume?
No, but all that area out there, all the way down Queensland, half of the Northern Territory, a lot of the Northern Territory, has this huge artesian bore underground, and that's pumped up, and when it comes out of the ground, it's hot.
Really?
Yeah. Huh. And that town water supply in Barcaldine was hot. The water it would come out of the tap hot. You didn't have a hot water service.
How hot are we talking?
Well, we're talking we didn't have showers because in summer it was too hot. For the water that came out of the shower would be too hot. So we'd fill a bath and you'd have to let the bath cool down before you could get into it.
Huh.
But in winter it wasn't quite so bad. It was because we had a chip heater in the bathroom that used to heat the water. It must have needed to heat it a bit in winter, but because the winters were quite ferocious out there. They were quite cold, really cold, and black frosts and things. So yeah.
What black frost?
Black frost is the same as white frost, except there's not enough moisture in the air for. It's the moisture that turns frost white. So there's not enough moisture. So it would still kill the plants, which the plants were susceptible, and they would sort of go black. So that's why they call them black.
You wouldn't see icy covered.
No. Wow. Like you do here. No.
So just the image I have in my mind is kind of Man from Snowy River, Waltzing Matilda vibe of old school outback Australia, and roaming shearers looking for seasonal work or something pop in for a few days.
Yeah, no, I think the shearers were. It was like a gang that arrived, and they had. I don't know how many. Can't remember how many stands we had on the shearing shed. It was probably 6, I'm thinking. So there would be 6 shearers working. There was a wool classer, a young guy usually that swept up. There was one that picked up all the fleeces. The shearer took it off the sheep, threw it on the classing table, and then there was another guy. There was a tar boy. You've ever heard of that expression, tar boy? Because if they cut a sheep while they were shearing, they used to call the tar boy, and it was just like a pot of tar.
Because they don't have razors, they have scissors, right?
Shears, yes. So, and if they cut them, they'd call for the tar boy, and it was a pot of tar, just black tar, and they used to put with a brush in it, and they'd go over the cut with that, and it'd stop it bleeding and stuff. And then they had with the balers, and so there was and the cook. There was always a cook with them, and they used to cook. One used to cook their food and bring down morning and afternoon teas to the the shearers.
Do you have any idea who these, I presume, men would have been? Would they have been from similar small towns or?
Probably. I did meet a guy not so long ago. He was joining our Probus club, and he used to be a shearer because he did a little speech, and he used to be a shearer in Western Queensland. Oh, really? Yeah. So they, I don't know. I think they. I don't know how it worked because except that they were like. I think you hired a.
And then you sell the wool that they shear.
Well, they then that would all be baled, and the bales are quite big, and then it would be loaded. I've got a picture somewhere of the truck fully loaded, and I think they used to take it to the railway station, which was about 4 miles away, and it would go by train to. Might have gone to the Scours because in Blackall, which is not far from Barcaldine, there's a wool scour, which isn't operating anymore. But when we did go out there, we went to the Blackall wool scour, and they do a tour now. And it had a little dam thing with a pump. There's just a pump and a pipe coming out of the ground that was artesian water was coming out. And we were there in winter. You don't go in summer; it's too hot. And there was steam coming off the water as it came out of the ground, out of the pipe, and that was at the wool scour. And that's where they used to wash the wool and then rebale it. And then it was sent wherever it was to be overseas, a lot of it to be.
So as a kid, I imagine you wouldn't have been too knowledgeable of like the economics of all of this, like, when Dad and Mum got paid and.
Oh, God, no.
Like because you were there till 12, right?
Yeah, we moved in the May and I turned 12 in June. Yeah,
okay.
So,
So like, you didn't know anything different as you kind of recounted, but it sounds like it was quite a simple, maybe boring, like, existence for a young kid. Did you have friends on the farm? Was that a thing?
Well, because I was the eldest, so when I got to school age, they employed a governess, and I only had her for 1 year, and I think maybe they had a bad season and they couldn't afford her anymore, but then they decided, my parents, and we were never included in any of these decisions, that they would, my grandparents, because my grandfather was getting up there, it was his property.
Your mum's?
Yes, my mum's parents. But he was getting up there and he was getting a bit old too. My father used to run the place basically, and my mother. And so they bought a house in town, and we, as each...
Was it 43 Elm Street, was it or something?
No, I think it was 69.
69 Elm. I looked at it off on the maps and I was like, wow, that just looks like a nothing place. But
it was a typical Queenslander, high, nothing underneath, great, up high, yeah. And Barcaldine itself, we didn't, but people had herds of goats, and they used to just roam around the streets. So everyone had to have high fences, otherwise the goats would get in and eat your garden.
Eat your clothes hanging up there.
Eat anything.
Yeah.
But it used to amuse us because people who didn't know would come into town, and especially in summer when it was really hot, they'd park under a tree.
Oh, the goats. Yeah.
Then they'd come out and these goats would be all over their car eating.
Okay.
They're not allowed to do that anymore.
Random questions, now that you're saying this. Do you have any idea how many sheep or cattle might have been on the farm? Like,
no.
What kind of... Are we talking a few hundred, a few thousand?
Well, the property was 42,000 acres. Jesus. But that was small by comparison because it's not very fertile country. It's semi-desert actually.
Yeah.
So the carrying capacity, I don't know what the carrying capacity was. The question
would it have been a sheep per acre?
May have been. Might have been a cow per acre. But when you've got both, you've got to allow for...
But that's like tens of thousands of animals.
Maybe. No. Yeah, probably.
What even is... I can't even imagine... I can't picture 40,000 acres. Is like... Did you have cowboys? I don't know, cowboys coming in, like wrangling things? Like what?
No. My parents did a lot of that. They were on horseback, always. We were taught to ride fairly young. As we got to have a leading rein, which that was like a rein that attached her horse to...
walking the kid on the horse.
Yeah, on the horse. And Oh, yeah. So, but never the cattle because the cattle were pretty wild. But we had it. We did have a guy who worked there permanently later on, and he moved down to North New South Wales with us when we moved on the farm. He was weird though.
Really?
Yeah. He loved Pam and Pam. Or maybe we shouldn't.
Pam loved or didn't love him back?
Oh, no.
Oh, dear. Okay. And like, do you have farm dogs and stuff? I mean, minutiae questions, but like,
Yeah, we had a lot of farm dogs. I can remember that we had stables, and dogs were all tied up down at the stables when at night. My father got. I can remember them coming too. Two blue heelers when they were first. The breed was first in Australia, and
Really?
yeah,
What?
and one of them was really, really vicious. One was really, one was okay, and one wasn't. We couldn't go anywhere near him, and he.
We'd chain them up or something.
Yeah, but my father used to take them and he used to go out hunting wild dingoes, and he used to put traps around all around the place, and they used to get paid really well. I do remember that. They used to get £20 for a dingo scalp.
Do you have any idea what that might be now-ish?
Feeling £20. Well, a pound is equivalent to $2, isn't it?
Mm.
Yeah, something like that. So, but now it was a fair
like
amount.
$1,000, would you say? Like,
oh no, it wouldn't be that much. It
Yeah.
might have been maybe $50. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe 100.
Modern purchasing power.
Yeah. Well, they got. I don't know how many scalps it took though. My mother got a washing machine because we had no electricity for a long time. But then my father wired the house for a 32-volt generator. So
Okay.
she had,
Like a diesel generator thing.
I guess, I suppose it ran on petrol or diesel. I don't know. Yeah, so it was. I quite often think that was the reason why the house burned down because he wired it. They said no.
That's so funny. Okay, so like, I guess this is a bit of an abstract question, but all these memories, I mean, they seem relatively clear in your mind. Like, but for most of your life, you've lived such a different existence to that. Would you say like that feels like you, or that feels like a weird detached version of like you happen to know all these things because you saw it with your own eyes, but you don't really know what that person was or is? Does that make any sense?
Yes, yeah, I see where you're coming at. Actually, when I go up anywhere the farm, which is in North New South Wales, or up in Queensland, anywhere close to there, that I call that home, not Barcaldine.
Right.
Yeah.
So the central Queensland, where you ended up moving to later, the Uki area.
Yeah, that's in New South Wales. That's home, yes.
So that feels like, okay, where you've started to figure yourself out. Okay, so not moving there quite just yet. There's an idea I have in my head, and again, I'm spinning out kind of abstract questions, but there's a quote I read, and it was, if people don't have a lot of pleasure, they'll seek meaning instead. And likewise, if they have all this meaning, they might not seek pleasure. So you have the image of a nurse who's super meaningful and like kind of denies holidays or whatever. Or on the other hand, like someone who doesn't really care what they're doing, but just like, is very, I don't know what the word is. But did existence out there in the outback or the semi-outback? Yeah. Did that feel like it was... Were there pleasures and luxuries? Was it always seeking pleasure and luxury, or was it like this real hard work ethic? And what was the like culture of living a life out there?
I think for the adults, it was hard work. For us, not so much. I don't remember really having that many chores. I suppose we did, but I know we had more when we moved to the farm than we did out there, that I remember anyway. Yeah, but I know it was hard work for them because it's a tough life out there. Tough. Might be easier these days, but yeah. My father used to kill a sheep every week. We used to sit on the sheepyard fence and watch him. kids are ghouls, you know.
Oh, yeah.
You know, when I used
That's
to
the original entertainment, right? Killing things.
killing things, yeah. And even with my kids, when we went up to the farm, if anything had to be killed, because sometimes there'd be a calf born that was not right, and my brother would, knock it on the head or whatever. They'd love that stuff. They used to watch him do all that and go and bury it. And so I think it's just kids in general. So
yeah. So you didn't think like, oh my God, I had such a... Because to be honest, when I try to think, and it's kind of a stretch for me, to be honest, like try to think about my life as an 8, 9, whatever year old, all I think about is like, what did I do all day? Like nothing. Like we were kind of alone, maybe with Charlotte, like in a suburban house, and it feels very kind of boring. Not to blame anyone, but it was in a farm setting. Was it like there's always something to play with, something to do, or was it?
Yes, we did. Although, if you ask either of my sisters, Pam particularly, she will say she doesn't know how I remember anything that happened in our childhood because I always had my nose in a book, which I did. I used to read a lot. I still do. But there was a rubbish dump down near the sheep yards, near the shearing shed and sheep yards. And we used to spend a lot of time going, years and years and years. I don't know how many hundred, a lot of years old it was. And that was gone when we went back.
What, like a public dump?
No, it was on the property. So all the household stuff was what they did. They didn't, and things like bottles, my old bottles over there that I love collecting old bottles. None of them are from there, but but
would have been good quality or handmade or something.
But a lot of them were, because the sun at Summit was so hot, and maybe a vehicle had run over it or whatever. They'd be melted and they'd be squashed, but not broken because they'd be so hot.
So they now softened.
Yeah, so things like that, and then we learned to ride, of course. So
horse riding, yeah.
Horse riding.
Did you get quite good at that? I mean, you were still young, so.
Yeah, I was, because my parents were both very good riders, and they used to ride in shows and win stuff. Because my mother made lots of rugs out of the show ribbons that they'd won over the years. And I wanted to. I was sort of starting to be trained to start to ride in shows, but then we left. So, but I had my own pony. Pam had hers, but John, we hadn't quite got there yet. So for him to have his own pony, and I think I said that.
Yes,
we were about
never got one.
I never got one when we moved. Also, that we all learnt on this old horse called Hinkler, which was So when they were leaving, we were leaving the.
How long does a horse survive for? I don't even know.
Oh, they lived till 40 or 50 years.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
But my horse, pony, was called Silver, and he was really good friends with Hinkler. So, and Hinkler was old by the time we were leaving. So when my father sold Silver to, I don't know, one of the neighbours, I think, and Hinkler went with him, so he kept them together.
That's nice.
Yeah.
So do you know much about the history of the property? So it was your mum's dad's property. Was it going back in the family? Did someone buy it at some stage?
My grandfather bought it, but I don't know from whom. He actually was born and bred in Victoria, in Melbourne.
Right. Because your family, is it all your family on both sides, or just one strain has been in Australia for a very long time? Do you have any idea of what's going on?
The Sutherlands, it's my grandfather.
So it's your mum's dad?
Yeah, they came in the late 1800s, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. 1860-ish, I think. 70 maybe.
From that part of Scotland?
Yeah.
I should have worn the scarf I've got in my car, Sutherland Tartan.
I've got one down there.
Yeah.
It'll be in the family Bible because when they start recording when people were born here, the year, but it was in the late 1800s.
Did you ever... whether then or since, kind of investigate, not just like they came over here and then on what ship, but like, do you have any memories of talking to your grandparents about why they came, what it was like all the way back then, like what life was like in the 1800s?
I don't think. Well, my grandfather was born in. I don't even know really. It'd be in the family Bible. I think he was born in the 1890s or something, so in Hawthorn. And in the street where Chrissy and Kelly were living at one stage in Harcourt Street,
Kidding.
they had a property there. It was called Fernside.
Did they know it at the time?
No, Chrissy and Nick went looking for it, and they couldn't. We think it's been. I think Ben worked out which house it probably was, but it's been torn down and something else has been built there now. So, yeah, but they did go looking for it.
And that would have probably been a farmhouse on the outskirts of
Yeah,
town.
it was. Although I think Hawthorn was sort of because my grandfather's siblings, I guess, were they were into law, and then one was a doctor, an optometrist. Doctor, a specialist though, and I think his son was as well. And one of them was other Attorney General, because he knows all this stuff, Attorney General.
This is your grandpa's siblings?
I'm not sure whether it's his. I know one of his siblings was, I think it might have been one generation back, was one of the first, either Attorney General or one of those high up. For Victoria, not Australia. I know one of my grandfather's brothers was a solicitor. He also played Sheffield Shield for Victoria. Because I remember one time we went to the MCG, the one only time I've been.
What? Okay, moving on.
and I think I wanted you. You were there that day. We were up and I wanted you to take me down into the museum part, and you wouldn't.
I wouldn't.
No. Probably wanted to watch football or something ridiculous.
Wait, why would I have been able to take you down?
We were up in the members, and I assumed that you would.
Yeah.
I think I asked you, and you said no.
Okay.
Oh, good on you.
Dad should have taken you down.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
And like, especially in that Outback place, I have no idea, even now, what it looks like. But was there any? And you say your connection to a land is more where you moved, and we'll get there. But was there much connection to land that you saw in your parents? Was there any? What was going on with like Indigenous? Did they exist in that place? Like,
yeah.
Was that what was that stuff?
We had I guess you call her a maid. It was Aboriginal. Her name was Violet. So she must have been there helping my mother. Doing the housework, because my mother would rather be out in the horse mustering sheep and cattle than working in the house and cooking, although she was a really, really good cook.
This is Ma.
Ma, yeah.
Yeah, wow.
But bearing in mind that they had no electricity, so everything, and a wood stove, so everything was cooked and done by hand. And Violet had a daughter. I don't remember a bloke being involved, but and her name was Shirley, and I was friends with her. Wow. And another funny thing that she did, Pam and I one time, because what happened was they used to get, because there's no shops, we were 32 miles out of town, so I mean going to town, but they used to get twice a year they used to get all these groceries sent, being ordered, sent to Brisbane and be sent down by train from Brisbane. And we had a great big room to store all this stuff in. And stuff that they used, like for instance, eggs, to preserve eggs, my mother would put them in salt, in a case in salt. So stuff like that. So Pam and I one day, we were only, I don't know how old, I might have been 5 or she would have been 4, got 8 gelatine, like you do.
What's that?
Gelatin,
Just gelatin powder?
Yeah, it's like unflavoured jelly.
Yeah.
No, gelatin is the stuff that sets the jelly, so it's got no flavour. Why we ate that, I have no idea. But Violet told us she got 2 potties, put them out in the yard, and told us we had to poo out the gelatine before the sun went down or we'd die. And we believed her.
Do you reckon like she was just trying to joke with you?
No, I think maybe she believed that we needed to get it out of our system, but I don't know. I don't know. But I remember that quite clearly. The pair of us sitting out in our potties out in the yard.
What? Do you remember much obviously the focus was probably on like what's going on with sheep and cows, but do you remember, maybe they were speaking Indigenous languages? Was there a culture of one part of town is more? It
was very...
do you remember your parents' perspectives and views and stuff?
Yeah, no, Aboriginals weren't like much, and I can't even really remember many of them being in town, but I guess they were. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I know that there was on our property there was some caves, and there was Aboriginal handprints on the caves, which we'd been taken and seen and stuff. So, but I don't really remember many Aboriginals being, and certainly not where you read in novels sometimes where they were camping down by the creek and stuff like that. I don't ever remember anything like that.
Yeah, okay. Interesting. No, nice.
Yeah.
And what was like the and again, like maybe stretching your 11-year-old perspective here, but in terms of the average character, or maybe not the average, but a normal character in that kind of context of the Outback, was there a certain character arc, a certain life story that is quite different to what you'd find in the city, or is it all more or less the same? Like, my mind goes to like some weird drunks in the random saloon bars, or
American stuff.
Yeah, stuff in the movies. Yeah. Is that like parallel reality in any way?
I don't really remember. I know that there was a definite hierarchy in the country, and the people on the land were considered higher up, better, if you like. It was a class system almost, but
like
not
big landowners.
Not even yeah. But we were landowners, so yeah. And there was there's several hotels in Barcaldine. One of the best one was the Shakespeare, and that's where if we went to any functions, and I can remember going to some, we would go there, and you wouldn't ever go to any of the other. I think there's 3 or 4 other pubs. You wouldn't go there because that's where all the riffraff went.
The townies.
Yeah, the townies. Yeah, so there was a definite class system, not as definite as in England, like that class system, which is still in existence now, but yeah.
But it was what degree of rural were you living day to day, and the more rural, the better?
I don't know what differentiated them, and there was a very different between Protestants and Catholics as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Even out in central Queensland.
There was a big convent in Barcaldine, and
a convent. Which one is that for?
Well,
that's like a nun.
Yeah, nuns. Yes. But I can't remember what order they were. They had black habits, I know that. And I learnt piano at the convent because...
what do nuns even do? Are they like nurses?
Oh, no, they're they can be lots of things, but they're mostly teachers, I think. Because I'd learnt piano. If ever I went to where anyone was playing a piano, when I was young, I would stand beside the piano and watch them. And I still like to see their hands on the keyboard. If somebody's playing the piano, I'd like to see their fingers on the keyboards.
Okay, your long, skinny fingers as well.
Yeah. So my mother decided that I should be taught piano, but I was a bit young. I was 7, I think, and the only place she could get me taught was at the convent. So I used to go to the convent once a week or whatever to have my lessons. And then when we moved down to the farm, there was a tiny, tiny little convent in Uki. It had 3 nuns, 2 of them. One of them that taught the music, taught piano, she used to do the housework, but there was 2 that taught. And I used to go. They were the Order of St. Joseph's because I remember, but I don't know what the ones out Barcaldine were. So.
Okay, nice. Okay, so let's move down to Uki then. When you moved, had you been outside? Like, how far from the farm had you been up until that point?
We had been twice. We'd been down to Sydney. Okay. Now, that's interesting because my father, he was quite ingenious and inventive, really. He, after the war, he bought I think it was an army disposal truck, probably about a 3-ton truck, I guess. And he had sides, it had sides on it, and then he had a canopy made of pipe, metal or something that went about 3/4 of the way down the back of the tray. The tray was quite big. So his parents, his father managed a pub in Sydney. So we were all going down there for a holiday and driving from Barcaldine to Sydney. So we did.
Right.
But the first time we went, Stuff wasn't born. And so it would have been in the cabin in the truck would have been my father, my mother. I don't ever remember her driving the truck. She could drive. And whatever the youngest kid was, and that was probably Di. But in the back, behind the cabin, he had a shearer stretcher, which were those sort of wire mesh things with a mattress on it, on the floor with the legs folded up on the floor, and one at the back. And then behind all of that, there was he'd made racks, and they had more stretchers, one for everybody.
It's like a hostel room in the back of the truck.
They're all folded up on racks and the sides, and then he had all our clothes and food, and he had invented an esky before eskies, and he'd built it himself, and it was a metal box, and then he insulated the box and made another box inside it out of I think bark of a tree or something. And then we had every town we went through, or whenever we'd buy blocks of ice, and we on the way down there slept on the side of the road. So at night, or before nightfall, he'd pull all these stretchers out of the back and set them up on the side of the road. That's where we'd sleep.
Literally just right there.
Right there.
Okay,
yeah.
So 2 questions just to take us back in time. You said you bought a box of ice.
A block.
A block of ice. Like a solid, because there was refrigeration, was it?
Before refrigeration, we had a refrigerator at Rocklea, which is the property's name, which was run on kerosene. It had a flame. But we had this. But before that, they had safes, Coolgardie safes. They were.
Yeah.
And I think your father's that funny. I don't know if he's still got it now, but he used to have it. He swapped with Kelly. That it was. It's like a cupboard, but it had gauze on all sides.
Yeah.
Except for where the doors are, and they were.
There's a little box where you put a block of, a solid block of ice. So
they're big, the blocks of ice. But you had to, we didn't have ice at Rocklea because there's nowhere to make it. But in the towns, they made blocks of ice.
So they made the blocks of ice.
And so then people they'd have the safes, and they would put the blocks of ice in the safe.
Because there was one stage of history, I believe, where the Canadians would be selling ice, cutting ice off the lake, and they somehow transporting and hoping by the time it gets to the destination it might be half the size. But
yeah, I don't know how they made it in the town, but in the towns they made it. Yeah. So they would get on the way down to Sydney.
So you're never buying like we do now in a servo a bag of little cube ice?
No, it's a block, quite a big block. Yeah, and then when we were in Sydney, it was because my
and the other question.
Yeah,
sorry. Roads and highways, especially outback highways back then. Empty? How many cars? Because the population would have been so much smaller.
They weren't made.
Okay.
They were mostly, the streets in Barcaldine were made, but once you, I think, maybe it was only the main street. Now I'm thinking about it. I don't know that it was Elm Street. I don't know that was made when we lived there.
It's just kind of bare, gravelly, rocky dirt.
Yeah, and lots of corrugations. So the traffic had,
corrugated.
Yeah, so you sort of bump it along the top of it.
But the big roads or in the highways down to Sydney?
Well, I think so, because I think when you went through the towns, they'd be made, but in between probably not.
Well, I was just in Guyana with my buddies a few months ago, and that now seems to, I have the image of what that is now, where you'll have tiny little towns and they have one shop and it's all the same things and it's very simple. And then the roads, even cutting through the whole country, are kind of unmade.
Yeah, the towns were probably bigger than that because they were, being Australia, they were a long way apart. So, they were probably big. Barcaldine was quite big. It had, lots of streets and 4 or 5 pubs or whatever and shops.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
yeah. What a place. Okay, so
we got to Sydney. And my grandparents had a pub. There was a laneway. The pub was on the corner, and Wynyard Station was on.
Right in Sydney.
Yeah, I don't know where.
Yeah,
but
I couldn't find it. Might be. I've got on a pub crawl next week.
Fine. Yeah, and it wasn't. We stayed there, and I can remember the things that fascinated us as kids. Streetlights. We'd never seen streetlights. And we used to sit for hours.
Like traffic light.
Traffic lights, yeah, I mean traffic lights, yeah. We used to sit for hours and watch them change colour.
They would have been electric and automatic, right?
Yeah.
And then cars. Oh.
And we used to sit. There was the stairs that went up.
You just did the U3 farm kids or something sitting on the side of the road. Like.
Well, I've got pictures of it. We looked like hicks. And people used to stare at us and we used to think, oh dear. And there were stairs that went up from, I guess, the ground where the bar was. I don't know that we went into the bar much. But there was a sort of a balcony halfway up the stairs and you could look down. There was a window and you could look down on the laneway that went to the Wynyard station. And peak hour when everyone was going to catch the trains to work in the morning and coming home at night fascinated us. And we used to throw a penny out and see how long it took for somebody to stop to pick up penny. Never seen escalators before. There was escalators in Wynyard station. And my parents went to see, there was a stage show, it's called Oklahoma, which is still my favourite musical. And they'd been to see it and they decided they'd take us to see it. I remember the opening scene, the fire. I don't know how they did the fire on stage. You probably don't know.
I know where Oklahoma is, and that's about it.
Yeah, no, there's a stage. There's a stage show, but there's also been a movie made, and I love it. It's Rodgers and Hammerstein music, and so we went there, and all I wanted to do was ask questions. I got into trouble for that, and all John wanted to do, because he was quite young, was go to the toilet. Yeah. So, and then we went a few years later. We went again
to the same show, or to Sydney?
To Sydney again. My uncle, my father's brother.
How long were these trips for? I guess you spent so many days travelling down. So
yeah, I don't know. I don't know how long we stayed down there.
And Sydney, back like at that time, I imagine the centre of Sydney and probably the centre of Melbourne would have been potentially the only place in Australia that really had things like traffic lights and elevators.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. And I know the truck. He couldn't park the truck anywhere. He used to park the truck somewhere.
You'd think, yeah.
And I know he said that whatever the place it was, it had Alsatian German Shepherd guard dogs there. Yeah. His brother, my father's brother, lived in Sydney somewhere, and we went to visit them, and they had a well in the backyard. Not that they used it, but it was there.
Well, like a house in Sydney had a well in the backyard.
Yeah.
What?
I've got no idea where it was.
Well is, I guess, bore water as well, is it?
Oh, well, I don't know. I don't know that it was being used, but it was there. And there were snails, and we had never seen a snail.
Yeah, right.
Because it's too dry. And there's probably no snails out in the middle of Australia now anyway, because it's too dry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was, to be fair, I remember as a kid, I distinctly remember, when I was 5, do you remember the family went to France and we stayed in this house for like a week or 2?
Oh, yeah.
And the backyard of that place had all these little snails that don't exist in Australia.
Oh, okay.
So I've never seen them. And I distinctly remember like reading my nose in a book and then being fascinated by those snails.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's a kid thing. Like.
Yeah, well, we'd never seen snails before, so.
Do you happen to remember like playing with bugs? Was that a big thing, like playing with little bugs and animals and stuff?
No, I remember feeding, if they had a bad year and when the ewes were lambing and a lot of the ewes died, the mothers died, we'd feed them. Oh, yeah. And lots of times there'd be a lot of them we have to feed.
The lambs?
The lambs, and feed the lambs, yeah. And my mother used to save tomato sauce bottles and she'd have teats on them and we'd feed the lambs. I remember doing that.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, so you also mentioned, and it kind of ties into a question I briefly wanted to ask. You guys, farm kids, sitting watching the traffic lights, were you standing out, not just because you were watching traffic lights like crazy people, but like, was it your dress, like the clothes?
Probably.
Yeah. And were clothes, would you say, better quality? I'm just thinking back to like wool, like organic wool back in the day, and most clothes might have been made out of something like that. Like, does that change?
My mother used to make most of our clothes, not for John, I don't think, but she did definitely for Pam and me, because we're very close together in age. There's only 13 months difference. And because I had red hair, she'd make the same design of dress, but I had blue and Pam had pink. And I still think she might be hung up on that whole thing now because she won't. Here's the cat.
Oh, that's cute.
What's happening? Yeah. One time we had the same top, her different colours, and she was staying here, and I put unbeknownst to each other, put them on, and she went and changed.
Wow. Okay.
So I think she's got a hang up about wearing the same. It's all right, Rosie. Yeah, so, things like that. And, twice we went, and a few times we went to Brisbane as well, but not in the truck.
Do you remember the difference between Sydney and Brisbane at all?
No. Brisbane we went, my grandmother and grandfather were down in, because there was a family house in Brisbane, not far from the Gabba actually. It's in South Melbourne. I'm in Brisbane. And it was called Hillside, and my grandmother's father had built it. And I remember that we used to go and stay there a bit. But they were down, I don't know what year it was, they were down staying in Brisbane, and my grandfather had a huge heart attack. And
You're the same grandfather that was living in Barcaldine.
Yeah. And Stuff was only a baby. He was only really young. And I know Mum and Stuff flew down. I've recently met this lady who was one of the original, she's in her 90s, Ansett air hostess, and she flew all around Queensland and knows Barcaldine really well and used to stay there. Anyway, they flew down, and then we came down, my father and the rest of us kids drove down from Barcaldine down to Brisbane. But my grandfather had been sent to Redcliffe, to this guest house, I guess it was, to recuperate after he was released from hospital. So we were all staying there, and we went to school. So it was, I don't know how long we were there, but for a few months.
Oh, wow.
My father wasn't there. He must have stayed up. I mean, he went back home, but Mum was. And
so Mum with her parents?
And all of us kids, and we went to school. And they had a fife band in the school, and I so badly wanted to play the fife. But
Fife. I looked that up when I read it. And I was like, it was some recorder or something.
Yeah, it's like a little flute, little tin whistle sort of thing. Yeah.
So do you have any recollection of, were you cool or, an outcast loner, like in those months in school, like with all the city kids?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Yeah, probably. We used to have to get a bus or something. I know we had money. We had to pay money, which we used to just walk Barcaldine, but yeah. Yeah.
So what was this transition into towns and cities? What, to the best of your knowledge, initiated the move down to, closer to civilization, I suppose, and Newcastle and whatnot? What was that all about? That was when you were getting older and wanting to go to school? Or?
Well, the thing was, I think that was part of it, because I was due to start high school and there was no secondary education in Barcaldine, and I'm not sure there is now. I guess there is, but maybe not. And so I was going to be sent to boarding school, and I really, really, really wanted to go to boarding school. I never got there. So I think it was a financial thing, because it was, as each child, and remember I'm the eldest of 5, it would cost, I think they used to talk about £1,000 a year per child for boarding school.
Sure.
So I think that was an economic thing. I think there was some issues with that whole process, that because it was my grandfather's farm, it was his property, but it was sold. They couldn't sell it straight away, but it was sold to buy the farm. And my aunt, my mother's sister, didn't.
It was sold to buy the Uki farm.
Okay. Yeah, and my mother's sister, she only had one sister, one sibling, and she didn't get any benefit of it at all. Auntie Bunty didn't.
My
auntie, my mum's sister. So, yeah, And
So they're selling your mum's parents' farm and all going to one kid, essentially.
which is what happened to the farm
Yeah.
eventually. It all went to my brother, and we didn't get any of it.
Oh, right, okay, the Uki farm.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, okay.
Well, they transferred it to it before.
Was it always the oldest in each
No,
case?
no, because Stuff's the
'cause you're
youngest.
the oldest,
yeah,
yeah.
and Stuff's the youngest.
Right, okay.
So I shouldn't call him Stuff. Nobody know what I'm talking about. Yeah, so because somebody made the comment, I think it might have been Pam, that it's like history repeating itself.
Yeah.
And I think that there was some issue in later years with Auntie Bunty and her wanting some compensation, and they offered her a block of land. They were going to cut a block of land or something off the farm, but they'd never. She said, "Don't worry about it." They didn't really need the money anyway, but it was, I guess, just the principle of the thing. But that didn't happen. So, yeah. So,
Okay, so how did they figure out to move where they moved?
well, we were down there on a holidays, which is another thing I talk about in that thing. And we'd gone. The people who lived on the property next door, they'd moved to Benora Point, and which you know where that is, that's just south of Tweed Heads.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's in New South Wales, but just south of Tweed Heads. And so we went down there to see them and stay with them on holidays for a month or two or whatever. And it was then
These big holidays are great. I guess the farms is doing
well,
its thing.
well, that's the thing. You know, I guess that they have to work so hard when they have to work that when you don't have to, and it's an off season if you like, they just
the sheep are just rolling around eating grass.
Oh yeah. Unless it was a drought season, I guess. And we had a guy that he used to stay there and look after things. But Nick and Ray, you know, you know Nick and Ray, don't you?
I know the names, but I don't know what they are.
Nick's daughter, Pam. Pam's daughter is Nick.
Pam's son?
No, Nick's.
Oh, Nick is a girl? Okay.
And Ray, and they've got a property, it's now an hour south of Goondiwindi, and he does run some cattle, but it's basically he grows Durham wheat and canola and stuff like that and makes a lot of. Yeah, you've met them.
These people.
Yeah, and they do the same thing. They very intense. Well, they've got a crop happening or harvesting or whatever, but then they'll have an off time and they'll have a month off or whatever. So
sure.
So that's how it works.
That's back to Guyana. I was talking to this guy and he was saying that's how the Indigenous have always worked there because they're agricultural, like farmers. So it's probably any farmer.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's very hard. You have to clear this land. You have to do this harvest. You have to whatever it is for a few days or weeks. And then it's like, okay, we're chilling and they're just fishing in hammocks and stuff. And you can go down to...
pretty much. So that's when we were on the holidays in Benora Point and the cyclone happened. And that's when they decided to buy the farm. And they just looked around. I can remember looking at one dairy farm that was quite, because it's very hilly, and the difference in the topography, like Barcaldine is flat. There's you can't even see a hill on the horizon. It's just flat.
anthills.
Only anthills. You can't even see them. And round Uki is really hilly. Like it's at the foot of Mount Warning, so it's really hilly.
I remember riding my bicycle a few years ago to Uki.
Oh, really?
It was very
hilly, very hilly.
It was epic, like all the downhills, and they were very, very hard.
Yeah, so that and the rainfall, because out in Rocklea, Queensland, it hardly rained at all, and it rained. Well, my mother used to always talk about how when the first year we were there, we had no electricity again. And she had a wood stove again, and my father went back because he'd left a lot of the furniture back at Rocklea and had to go back and get it. And it took him a long time, and she had to look after 5, and Stuff was only little. He was only 2 or 3 or something.
Wow. And
my grandparents were there at summer stage as well.
So they'd moved from Barcaldine with you as well?
Yeah.
And because of the heart attack and everything.
Well, the heart attack had been years earlier. I don't know how many years earlier, but they'd gone back to Barcaldine because they lived in town and looked after us going to school. So my mother said it rained because when my father went back to get all the rest of the furniture, not only with that, she had to look after us, but she had to milk the cows as well. And there was no electricity, so the cows were being milked by hand. I think we had to do some of it. We did have chores at the farm.
You said in your writing that milking the cows was such a novel experience.
Oh, was
so exciting for about 2 weeks and then...
A month, yeah. We still had to do it, yeah. Oh, God, and they have to be done twice a day no matter what. But the guy, the workman, he was still there. He came with
he came with you?
Yeah. And the blue-heeler dog, the surviving blue-heeler dog, who had been taught out in...
The good-behaved one? Or
the good-behaved one. The other one fell off the back of the truck and the wheel ran over and killed him, which was a good thing because he was vicious. But he was trained to kill wild pigs because there's a lot of wild pigs out in Queensland. And because we had domestic pigs. He had to be untrained.
How did that go? That would have been difficult, I
Yeah,
imagine.
my father did it, yeah.
So how big was the property, this dairy farm?
360 acres.
Okay, so significantly smaller, but like nicer, rain-wise land.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, it was dairy, so we had dairy, we didn't have dairy cattle. We had beef cattle out in Queensland that when they calved, we used to keep them, but a lot of them, probably 6 or 8 or something, to get milk for the house, which they used to get milked by hand, of course, and then that would be turned into cream, churned cream, and then my mother used to make butter.
So how do you, sidetrack, I mean, I'm just revealing myself as my generation and not having spent any time on a farm. Like, what do you mean make butter? Like churning, what even is that? Like, is that just getting a wooden spoon and just sending it?
Churning it just to separate the milk from the cream is a...
So what's that? Is there a machine?
The cream from the milk. Yes. It's a machine. It's hard to describe. It's got 2 round... Oh, they're about this big, I guess. I don't know
like gears into...
No, they're like a round tray. They fit in the top of one another and they've got a spout. And something churns. I think out in Barcaldine we used to turn... It used to be turned by hand. It used to go on this machine and used to turn it. I don't know how fast. And the cream would come out one of those things and
So
the
like
separated milk.
Thick cream.
Yeah, and the separated milk would go into the other one.
Perfect.
So on the farm, and the dairy farm, that was done by a machine that was petrol driven to start with, and the separated milk would be pumped down to the pigsty, which was, probably from here,
so
across the road. Yeah, they used to sell the milk.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But the cream first, they used to, when we first went there, we were on a cream contract, so you used to have to separate it. So that's why I had the pigs.
Pools or something says we want this many tons.
Yeah, it was
of cream.
Norco, which is...
Norco, that's all.
Yeah, that stands for Northern Rivers Co-op. Norco does.
Does it? There you go.
Does.
So they say we want a ton a month or whatever.
Whatever you can produce, and then they would be the cream. I think it was collected 2 or 3 times a week. I think my father used to have to take it over to Uki itself.
How do they store it?
In cream cans.
So they don't have to be refrigerated?
No, they used to just sit in the dairy. It was sort of like a cool room. It wasn't refrigerated or anything, but it was just a cool room. But we had this old cat that, because they didn't put the lids on the cream cans, they used to just put a gauze sort of cover on it until they were ready to be transported. And she used to knock the thing off, jump in, cover herself in cream, get out, and you'd see her creamy footsteps across the dairy floor.
And I presume you can't sell that bucket of cream.
Yeah, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Well, it's all processed. So then when it gets to Norco, it gets turned into butter. So, but my mother used to make the butter out, and she did, even though when we moved to the farm, because she said the butter was to buy it, even though we'd supplied the cream, not all of it, but to make the butter to Norco, it was still too dear. So, in her opinion, anyway. So she used to still make butter. So,
that process.
So then you get the cream, and then you have to beat it. So if you whip cream, and if you keep whipping it for long enough, it
with
will
a whisk or something.
Or an electric beater, yeah.
Yeah, probably better,
yeah. It will turn into butter.
Really?
And if you do...
So whipped cream in the can, is that the first step to butter?
Yeah, not in the
something
can.
different there.
Oh,
You know the ones
I mean in the cream cans.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the first step to butter. Well, the milk is first, and then the cream, and then the butter.
Okay.
So even now, if you want a whipped cream, you whip too much, it'll turn into butter.
But you can't do anything with the milk.
Well, if you buy skim milk, that's what skim milk is. The cream's taken out of it.
Okay, so full cream milk, you could still separate cream off full cream milk.
Yeah.
Hence the name. Okay.
Yeah, and before it was pasteurised, we used to have it before it was pasteurised, and you'd get in a bottle of milk probably that much cream at the top.
Yeah. Well, still nowadays you're starting to buy milk that has that, the farmer's gold and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So and then she used to once it got solid, she used to then wash it, and
the butter,
wash it, and all this. That's buttermilk. So what comes out of there when they wash it is buttermilk, which you can buy.
I once bought buttermilk to drink, and it wasn't very tasty.
Well, that's what it is.
That's just water and butter.
That's the water that comes out of the butter when they wash it. Yep.
Whoa. The water that comes
out of the butter because they have to wash the butter.
So you got a block of butter.
Yeah.
Like it looks in the fridge.
Yeah, probably not.
Quite the same.
Quite the same, yeah.
But then you hose it or something.
I think she used to knead it. She used to sort of put it in water and knead it.
Oh, and the leftover water that you kneaded it in
is buttermilk.
Right. It's kind of like almond milk, but like buttermilk. It's like really water based.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And salt. They used to salt it as well.
So is buttermilk only an ingredient back in the day when everyone was so savvy, not wanting to waste things? We're not going to waste this washing water. We're going to use it for some recipes.
You don't cook with it usually, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But you can still buy it.
You can still buy it, but wow.
Yep.
So would you say, even though you guys seem quite asset rich, the nature of farming is quite where we're using everything and the frugality is involved.
That and the depression, because my parents lived through the depression, you see.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do they talk about that or
No, I don't think it affected them much, and the war didn't affect them much because, my father was the primary producer, so he wasn't required to go join up, but his two brothers did. Both of them came back.
Do you know what they did?
They were in the army, both of them.
Yeah.
But I know Uncle Roger, who was there.
Pacific or Europe or North Africa?
Uncle Roger was in Borneo. I know because he had, my father was the eldest of the three boys, and then Uncle Roger and then Uncle Frank. But Uncle Roger, when he was in Borneo, was making jewellery, and he'd made it out of...
as a soldier? Oh, but
for a hobby.
Not doing anything.
And I've got a few things that
What kind of jewellery?
Well, he made, it's broken now, but I've got it for me. And he used to beat coins, silver coins.
Borneo coins?
No, well, I guess. But they were coins. And it's a brooch, and it's got a bar at the top that says to Jennifer, which he spelt incorrectly. And then it had a little...
old 1N, 2N.
No, but a JA instead of JA. And then underneath was a heart that he made out of plain perspex, out of plain windows.
Oh, yeah.
And on that is a beaten silver, and I think it says from Uncle Roger. It says to Jennifer on the thing, but on the top it says Borneo 1945 or 1943 or something.
That's wild.
Yeah, he also made my grandmother some rings, and she used to save when the boys lost their first teeth, she saved them like people do, and he'd put the bits of these
baby teeth in a ring. What?
My grandmother used to wear, I think it was 17 rings.
Jeez.
I know, and she had.
That's from her brother-in-law.
No, it was her son.
Oh, so son. Oh, it's her son. Yes. Yeah. Grandmother. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. So I actually also want to ask that because of the nature of the farm ownership and all this stuff, all this is through your mum's side, but your dad's side, it was his brothers that you're saying is Uncle Roger, right? who are his parents? Were they like, where did he come from? Because he obviously married into this landowning way back
Yes.
to Scotland family, but like, what was his story?
I know a bit of it. Grandma was
He's your dad's mum.
yes.
Yeah.
She was born in Melbourne, and her her father was I think a bank manager or something, ANZ bank manager, and the story goes he was in Grafton. This is back in the early 1900s.
Like Norco and ANZ, which are like now got like, AI apps or something, but like they're back in the day where it's like literally wooden stilt buildings or something.
Yeah. And so I think he was in Grafton. She had a brother. She had two sisters and a brother, and the brother died when he was about 12, and then her father died when they were in Grafton, and her mother was left with however many kids, probably the three girls, I'm not sure, in Grafton. Her mother, who was apparently a really not a nice person, lived back in Melbourne, and
so you're still on your dad's side. It's still in Australia for 4 or 5 generations as well.
Probably, yeah. They come from England. We're supposed to be related to Francis Drake on that side.
Oh, there you go. Drake's Passage.
So she then, my grandmother's mother, had to get the kids, no help, there was nothing like pensions or no help, managed to get them back to Melbourne. But my grandmother's mother was a real, not a nice person. Apparently, I never met her. Then my grandmother, who was a tailoress, she was trained as a tailoress, she met my grandfather, I don't know, but they were very strong Catholics. My grandmother was a Catholic. My grandfather was Congregationalist, and of course all these Protestant Catholic stuff all went on all the time back then, even when I was young. So, and my grandmother married my grandfather and was then excommunicated from what family was left. He used to manage great big properties, I think initially.
That doesn't even happen now with like a Christian and a Muslim. You know what I mean?
I know. Well, he used to manage huge cattle properties in, I think originally in Northern Territory or Northern Queensland. And no, after they got married.
So this is your dad's dad?
Yes. They went by boat up the coast of Australia from Melbourne to get to wherever his property was. My grandmother used to talk about that when she came to live with us. They managed. He ended up when he was managing properties. There's one place called Terrally. It's quite famous now because it's been bought by the government. But it's about 100 k's out of Burke in Western New South Wales, and my grandfather used to manage that property. And there was a picture, a photo we had of the homestead, which is still there. And Chrissy's been there, actually, really? And Kelly and the girls, quite a few years ago now. But and the original, because she had servants and all sorts of my grandmother, was one of those huge, great big old houses. The property is now owned by the National Trust or by the New South Wales government, I think.
So they're contracted by some big landowner honcho in London or Sydney or something to like take care of my farm, make sure it runs.
No, I think I think he used to work for Dalgetty's. I'm not sure, which is
conglomerate.
Yes, yeah. But anyway, that property for my parents' 50th wedding, there's a photo in my grandmother's stuff that had these two palm trees at the front of the property, and they were only when my father left there, they were only little. And this woman who comes from the Gold Coast had been there and painted the old homestead. The palm trees were really high. So we commissioned a painting for her to do, one of the paintings, and gave it to them for their 50th wedding anniversary, my mother and father. So,
okay. So your mother and father got married?
They got married in Barcaldine, yeah.
Barcaldine, okay. Yeah. While we're on the subject, how did they meet? What was their love story?
I'm not sure. I think my father was a jackaroo, so...
Because his dad had been this head manager of farms.
And they went, the three boys, I don't think Uncle Frank did, but definitely my father and Uncle Roger went to boarding school in Sydney, one of them went. My father went to Shore, which is North Shore, I think. I don't know what that.
Yeah.
At the Church
I
of
remember
England.
rowing against them.
Yeah, Shore, and I think Uncle Roger went to King's, whatever that one is.
Yeah.
Both in Sydney. Anyway, Uncle Frank, I don't think, went to a private school because my grandfather left managing properties and then he got into pubs and he used to either run, I don't know whether he owned them or ran them in Western New South Wales.
So was one of these uncles, Roger, the one that you visited in Sydney with the pub?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
They both both those uncles ended up in Canamble, which is in Western New South Wales now.
Okay.
But they were never on the land. They were both builders, actually, carpenters.
Okay, so your dad is basically in my head, the son of like a farming CEO almost.
Yeah.
And then is jackering around, and where does he meet your mum? And
I guess he was on. I don't think he wasn't on our property on Rockley. I don't know what property.
Because your mum grew up there, and
yes. Both her and Auntie Bunty were born there. They went to boarding school in Yeppoon, and I think Auntie Bunty was in Brisbane for a while, boarding school. So yeah, I don't know what property he was on. I don't know that I've ever known that. Some things, when you talk about things like that, and you think, oh, I wish they were still alive so I could ask him. But
right, yeah,
yeah. So yeah,
they're
not
cool. Well, this is the cool thing about doing this.
Yeah.
On the internet, I mean, as long as the world doesn't get apocalyptic, like my grandkids, long after you guys,
yeah,
thank you very much, can get it from the horse's mouth, so to speak. It's kind of crazy. Okay, so there was never any talk of like this romance of like the jackaroo and the rich farm girl. I mean, I guess he was kind of grew up not underprivileged himself as well.
Yeah, they went to boarding school, so I guess, yeah.
It's not a Jack and Rose Titanic-esque.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, I don't know what property he was on, but I really don't know how they met, and I guess so. They had a very big there was a big social scene out there. I can remember that.
What is that?
Oh, well, when they used to have balls and dances and things like that, balls and I can remember my mother and races, picnic races. So she used to get all dressed up and go to the bloody picnic races.
Like as in horse races?
Yeah, picnic races, yeah, which are sort of like the countrified horse racing thing.
So it really is that like small town or that almost classist thing of like, seeing be seen like.
Yeah, probably, and they'd mix in a certain. They wouldn't all mix with the riffraff. No.
And there would have probably been like up and coming riffraff that like was smart and wanted to make enough money to go into like get invited.
And they used to go. I can remember going. She'd go to Longreach. It's 75 miles between Barcaldine and Longreach, and she'd go there for a ball or something. I think stay overnight. I'm not sure.
With your dad?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, when they were married, yeah. So, and apparently when they did get married, they got married in the church the Church of England church in Barcaldine, which is a pretty little church, and we went through it. The first time we went, it was locked and we couldn't look in it, but then Pam and Mum and I went again the next year back out there, and we got this guy to organise so we could have a look through it. But they got married there, and they had the reception in the hall next door. But my grandmother and aunt catered for it, and they cooked. I don't know how many people were there. They cooked all these turkeys. They had to kill them first. Cooked all these turkeys, and it was during the war. So it was during the war.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, it was 1941, so it was during the war.
Well, I guess the farmers definitely would have been more abundant because they have the.
Yeah, but I can remember they used to have what they call them coupons. So stuff that was in.
I'm pretty sure in Europe and England specifically, there was like a stereotype of the Aussie farmer while they're kind of getting bombed by the Nazis every night and getting rationed to shit. There was a stereotype of the Aussie farmer who was having a roast chicken every night and kind of just laughing it up. Like,
yeah, well, they still had rations because after when I was old enough, my grandfather had some of them, the coupons still in the in the office.
As a souvenir.
So, well, I don't know whether, they were probably just sitting in their head and throwing them out. But my grandfather was an alcoholic, which is where we all get our drinking problem from. My mother's
Yeah, the owner. Okay.
Yes, he was an alcoholic, so that's where we inherited our drinking problem from.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So,
were there? I mean, touchy subject, but were there negative aspects? Was it like, were there, alcoholism can certainly go bad ways, and like there's a certain, I think you see it, I've certainly seen it in movies and stuff, like depictions of outback living and outback relationships and interpersonal dynamics, often having tension and friction and sorts of.
I never ever saw my father hit my mother. I saw her, I can remember once or twice I saw her in tears and I didn't know what was wrong. They probably had a fight, but, but they used to, the men particularly used to drink a lot because I guess it was so hot. They used to drink rum. And John, when he was at this high, decided he had to go at smoking as well when he was only little. And rum, and he hid this glass of rum in the wood box. He got found out and got into trouble. He was always in trouble.
Rum, that's probably the last thing. I guess the pirates did that as well. Like, what is it about rum?
Yeah, well, a lot of
cheap and easy to make. Like.
Yeah, and I know. In the old days in England,
sugarcane's right there.
Yeah, but they used to drink. Men particularly used to drink beer and not water. Because the water was contaminated mostly. So
right. Beer's always going to be sterile. And
in a lot of books I read, back then in those early days in the 1600s and stuff. Yeah. So,
for sure.
Yeah.
There was even in Peaky Blinders, they're like, beer or whiskey, it's like if you want to stay sober, just stay off the whiskey. Just
Beer's okay.
Beer, you can't get so blacked out. Like.
But I used to know when we lived in town, my grandfather, there was a club down it was I think it was in our street, but it was down further towards the town's centre of town, and it was only men were allowed in it. It was I think it was a workers' club or something. We went through that too, and we went out there, and there was a visitor's book, and we saw where my grandfather had signed it. His brother, Uncle Dave, had come to visit back in or whenever. But there was a postcard. You know how towns have postcards, and there was a postcard of that club, and the only car parked in front of us was my grandfather's. He was always
a frequenter, yeah.
But I used to know as a kid. I used to know when I because he loved me. I was his first grandchild, and he just adored me. But I'd know when I'd pinch his money if he left money lying around, or I'd say to him, "Pop, can I have a whatever it was, threepence for an ice cream?" So he'd give me 2 shillings and stuff.
Which is a lot more.
Well, threepence is like 5 cents, and 2 shillings is like 20 cents. So
yeah.
Or give me 40 cents. Yeah, 4 ice creams. So funny.
So, I guess where are we? We're in Uki.
Okay. We keep going back to Barcaldine.
Well, it's interesting, right? As long as the stories, it's good. I had some specific questions, but I can't remember what they were. Dairy and stuff. So you went to school in the high school in Uki itself?
No. There was a primary school in Uki that I went to for the first 6 months because then I was high school age. And there was I think it was a 3-teacher school. So all the grades, there was only 3 teachers, so you were in a model grade. Yeah. And then there was a bus because it was 9 miles. Uki's 9 miles from Mooloolaba, so I went to Mooloolaba.
Okay.
Yeah, high school then.
And like you said earlier, that when you think of home, it is that place. So I guess, and you're just smiling there as well. Like, what are there specific memories? Are there specific images or moments that cause that smile, cause that sentiment?
I really don't know. I suppose I didn't think that much about it when we lived out in Barcaldine, and I didn't ever go back there until I was, however many hundreds of years later we went back, because it's a long way from Melbourne to Barcaldine, even those days. Yeah,
but I mean, you said home is Uki or Barcaldine?
Yeah. So because I guess when I left there, I was
because you
12.
didn't go
Yeah,
back.
and we didn't go back.
Yeah, so your formative
I didn't
years.
go back. It's always, as soon as I can see Mount Warning, I know I'm home. I always think I'm home if I can see Mount Warning. So, yeah.
Sick. Did you ever climb, like, is that
Oh, God, yes, I did.
Yeah.
Once.
Just to say you did.
Well, yeah, it was a thing to do. Everyone did it. But I was only 16 and it nearly killed me.
Wow.
I reckon it was hard. And Chrissy's done it since.
Cool.
But you're not allowed to climb now. So
Why is that?
Well, the Aboriginals have decided it's sacred country or something.
The whole country is.
Yeah. But it should be shared by everybody. I don't agree with that. But anyway, we won't go there, I don't think.
No, for sure.
No. So I think they're talking about opening it up again so you can climb Mount Warning, but it was pretty rough and ready when I did it. The track was a bit better when Chrissy did, and Nick and Ray did.
Do you remember how you did it? Like,
yes, I do.
Again, okay, because I don't know, like, 16-year-olds now, TikTok, vape, maybe a party somewhere, like, you know, if they're lucky. I imagine quite different to grow up on a dairy farm in UK, like.
Yeah, there was a lot of us kids, though, about the same age, not necessarily on farms, but in the town as well, in Uki itself, which is only small.
It's quite temperate rainforest, essentially, so it's quite nature-heavy. Even if you lived in the town, I imagine you're not staying in the town with your, you know, you're running in the jungle and.
Yeah. There was a lot of kids our age, though, and we had there was two churches, only small. There was the Anglican and the Catholic church. We were Anglican. I used to play the organ in church. Funny. So we had a fellowship. So we used to, every Friday night or second Friday night or something, we'd have a meeting. So there was a group of us. Yeah, fellowship, a Christian fellowship thing.
Like Sunday school.
Yeah. But it was for teenagers. And then one of the mothers decided that they should teach us some ballroom dancing. So they did. And then we used to have, not every Saturday night, but we used to have dances. We could all do ballroom dancing. It was good. So a group of us then decided, I don't know, when I was 16, that we were going to climb Mount Warning. So my father took us, because you could drive for certain, but he dropped us off too early. I don't think he knew. So we had to walk for miles before we even got to the bottom. And then it's pretty steep. It's pretty high. So up we went, and people used to, when they got up there, they used to light a fire. So people all around could see that they'd got there, but they stopped that because the fire started a bushfire one time. The end of that. But the last little bit of it, because Mount Warning, there's a picture of it up there on the wall, the one in the middle furthest away in that picture.
Oh, yeah.
Up there, it's got a sort of a hook.
Yeah.
Hook nose, and that last little bit.
So there's 3 mountains around?
Yeah, they're the Uki sisters.
Okay.
That's a very old photo of Uki.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. And that last little pinch up that hook, the only way you could they had a chain up there and you used to have to pull yourself up in the chain. Nice. And then there's a cleared area at the top. Which you can see from miles. I don't know whether you can see the sea. I suppose you can, because Captain Cook could see it from the sea, so he named it. So, yeah, but coming down was, most of the time, a spin on my bum.
And that kind of, that group, that fellowship and the dance, was that the first time you were interacting with boys? Like, was that, is that a thing? Like, you were coming of age, or were you just super religious at that point? I
was religious at one point, and then I remember asking, I had all these questions in my mind about religion and stuff it used to say in the Bible, like faith will move mountains, how's that possible? And I remember asking the minister, and he didn't have any answers for me, and I went, this is bullshit, and stop going and don't believe in it anymore. So, but I used to play as I said, the organ in church, and the church was a little pedal organ, like Marty's got one. I know that yellow, if you've ever seen that yellow organ, he's got the same thing. It was like that, a pedal organ. But it was at the front of the church, and my brother and his mate, who was the minister's son, used to sit a couple of rows back and try and make me laugh.
While you're seriously
While I'm praying, yes. Yes. So I had one, not the pair of them, but somebody else one time we were at a fellowship meeting, we had a treasure hunt. we had to go around and find, in the dark, find all these things from people, you sort of like a feather from a chook house or something like this. And in the process of doing that, they found a tiger snake, which is there's lots of snakes. There was a lot of snakes in Uki. So they killed it, and then they brought it back up to the hall, and they were chasing me.
With the snake?
With the snake, holding it by the tail and flicking at dead it was, at me as though they chased me up the street, and I screamed the whole time.
So, I mean, that kind of stuff usually happens to like a kind of goody two-shoe girl or like a girl they like maybe. Like, do you have any idea what the social dynamics were in those teenage days?
Yeah, and we used to play tennis too. So there was a couple of tennis courts in Uki, so we used to play.
Are you really good at tennis? My mum always says that you were really good at tennis.
No, I wasn't.
No.
I've never played with your mother, so I don't know.
No, as in like she seems to think that you and your runner genes are just very like.
Oh no,
good and athletic.
I couldn't run. I still can't. I wasn't very good at running. I used to do a bit of high jump because I had long legs, but I wasn't really good at that either. No, I didn't like. I used to play netball one stage, but at school. But tennis, I wasn't that good at it. I was okay, but not good.
And you guys near like Nimbin and stuff, right? Did you witness? Were you around like the hippie stuff? Was that on?
That was more just before I left there, because you were talking about, because I met your grandfather in 1962. So.
Oh, the hippies were more the 70s, right? That was their strong decade.
Yeah, but they was sort of starting in the 60s. But yeah.
Because what was the popular culture, I guess, in that crucial time of growing up and teenage and stuff? Was like the Beatles. Like what were you? What culture were you part of? I suppose is the question.
Yeah, I wasn't into the Beatles. They were. I was into Australian music like Johnny O'Keefe and Cole Joy, and I was into tennis. I used to come home, rush home from school so I could listen to the tennis on the radio. We had a TV, but the picture was shocking.
Is tennis a good sport to listen to? I feel like.
Well, I used to think I wouldn't rush home to listen to the cricket, but I used to do the cricket on the
cricket
radio.
Seems like it's because it kind of the pace it works at and the way it scores and stuff.
Yeah,
seems okay.
I just listen to the tennis. But the cricket, I know they used to fake the sound of the bat on the ball.
Really?
I've heard old cricket commentators say that. They used to fake that. So what was the question? About the culture.
The culture, yeah.
The culture was when the big skirts came in with all the petticoats underneath.
Oh, yeah.
And which are back a little bit from some of the young ones now, but we had full skirts with lots of petticoats, and I wasn't allowed to wear them.
Why is that?
Oh, because my father was he hated to see anybody in the street or anything, their petticoat showing. So sometimes...
But isn't that more clothes? Like you're hiding more body? Is that...
No,
that's not how they work? Okay.
No, it was just a thing. I don't know.
I don't have a good image of what a petticoat is.
Yeah, well, then we had rope petticoats, which were the first ones that held your skirt out. So they were sort of frilled, and they had this rope stuff sewn in the bottoms to make... Then they got net ones eventually, but he just hated the petticoats. So we weren't allowed to have them. We weren't allowed to wear lipstick. We weren't allowed to see boys. We used to sneak out, though.
Yeah, so what was that? Tell me about that. Tell me about sneaking it out to see a boy. What does that look like? What does that feel like?
We used to sneak out the bedroom window, the farm. Wow. And not necessarily sneak out, but sometimes we'd be going to a dance or something, but a lot of times all the parents were there at the dance, so you couldn't get away with anything. But we weren't allowed to wear lipstick, so we'd get down to the river and we'd put lipstick on. Yeah, I had my first boyfriend. I'm trying to think how old I was. Probably about. It was after I left school, I think. Yeah, 17. I had crushes on boys earlier than that. They didn't reciprocate.
Wasn't reciprocated. Unrequited love.
That's it. And there was at the butter factory. So the butter factory is still in
Norco.
Yeah, well, it was, I don't know what it's called, Norco, but it was, as long as, well, since we've been there, it's never been operating as a butter factory, but it originally was. It's that great big, if you've been to Uki, it's that great big building.
I reckon I know what it was because when I went there, they were having a fair. It must have been a weekend day. They were having this like stall fair, and then in this big hall building, was stalls and stuff.
Yeah, that was the Uki market. Yeah,
market.
Yeah. So on the back wall of that, in the concrete, and apparently when they were renovating, they were trying to get out of it. It says Jennifer Alt loves George Palmer.
Who is this George Palmer?
George Palmer, I think his parents owned the pub at one stage.
That's so good.
And they couldn't get it out of the wall. I think it was great. I don't think I did it. I don't know who did it. I don't think I did.
So that's like kind of how it went, like sneaking behind, or maybe like, I mean, I don't want to be intrusive, but was like holding hands a huge thing, or was it like?
Yeah, well, if you could get, a lot of things we didn't ever do that. So I don't know. We just sort of hung out and not.
But the fact that you hang out with a boy, like, it's not your brother.
Yeah. Oh, we were normally in a group.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Rather than, we'd sometimes go to the movies on the bus because it was the Doon bus used to go to the movies on Saturday night. Oh dear.
Well, definitely like it's weird because, for instance, in South America, a lot of places are still very conservative. So I would think at least equal to like the kind of religious, the parents looking over everything.
Yeah.
So as far as I've known, like young people, teenagers, like young adults, even in this modern age, they seem to operate how I'm imagining you operate, of like maybe what I in the city in the modern era was experiencing 13, 14, 15 is kind of moved up a few years, and that's the same thing going on 17, 18, 19. Weird now because the internet means that like sexually and stuff, everything's blown wide open. So you kind of simultaneously like a 13-year-old, but you're still doing that. It's weird there, but it makes sense. I think with the context of the society of like religion and conservatism and stuff. One question I have is, if you were like the import, so to speak, from the Outback, I imagine that would have been like different. Did you stand out? Did you try to hide that away and like, not really show that? Or were you like, what was the relationship of you being the Outback family or the Outback girl? Or
I don't really remember. I was quite shy. But I remember we had a high school reunion a few years ago that I went to up there, and one of the guys said to me, I remember, I sort of knew who he was. He was at the little Uki school. He was living. The headmaster was his uncle, and he hadn't come from Brisbane or something, and he'd been sort of shunted around because I ended up spending a lot of time speaking to him that weekend. We did the reunion things. Shunted around, which I don't think I was aware of at the time. But he said, I remember the day you walked into the classroom from Barcaldine, he said. And I said, really? He said, yeah, he said, I remember.
Yeah. Well, I imagine, like, a redhead, like, Outback.
Yeah, and that was, there was one kid who I disliked intensely.
Did he elaborate on that at all? Did he?
Oh yeah, we spent a lot of time that weekend. We had different functions that weekend, and he's a singer-songwriter actually now. He lives in the Central Coast in New South Wales somewhere, but we that, and because he knew Claire or didn't know her, but knew her music and stuff. So we spent a lot of time talking, but he I don't think he must have started high school and then he went to another relative because I think he was kicked around his family a bit, and for whatever reason, and he went to Sydney. And
but when he mentioned that he remembered you walking in, did he say like, is that a good thing? Like, was that?
I think it was a good thing that he remembered, but I don't know why.
Yeah, okay.
But because probably, he would have been a newbie too because he hadn't always been going to that school because he'd been sent by his parent, whatever. I think it might have been a marriage breakup or something, and he'd been sent down to his uncle, who was the headmaster at the little Uki school. So, yeah.
And were you saying something else about? I think I interrupted you there. Okay, yeah, no, it's just such a different world, and one that won't, just because of the internet, it won't exist again, which is wild.
Probably not. No.
I mean, I like watching shows, like, the coming of age shows and stuff is always nice. Small towns, like it's very human. I feel, yeah. I don't feel like I personally got much of that either.
Yeah, but I think it can be because in the end I hated it. I hated living at Uki. All I wanted to do was get out.
Right.
Hated it. Because everyone knows everybody and everyone knows your business and knows it before you do half the time.
They see your eyes like, they're like, oh yeah, Jennifer loves
you'd say, I'm going to do this or whatever, and they say, yeah, we know. And I think, but my father was a big gossip because he had a little side business going that he used to deliver milk around the town. Anyone that wanted fresh milk, he used to every day would take his little go, but he knew everything that was going. Everybody in the town. What's that? Well, you guys, a little place.
That.
Oh, he loved it. He loved it. And then they had a big diligence scare because my brother by then he was working on the farm as well, and he had spiders, I think, in his shed thing that he used to live in, sort of a house, but not really. And they sprayed it. They came and had it sprayed with the spiders, and some of the cows licked the spray because it was on the outside walls, and it contaminated the milk.
Oh.
So they had to dump. They couldn't until they isolated the cows. They had to dump the milk, and he couldn't deliver it. So my brother just went, no, I'm going to stop it right now. So they stopped and it was illegal. Because it wasn't pasteurised milk. It was.
Oh, of course, yeah. Oh, people would love that nowadays as well.
And they used to come over the farm and get it as well. They'd rock up at milking time and get there. Some of them, different ones that were sort of a bit more outlying, you'd come and get the milk direct from the dairy and stuff. So
epic.
Yeah.
How are you going in terms of energy and
toilet
and stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you end up not liking Uki. So what was the process, the journey of? I mean, we're in Berwick now, so how do we get out of that?
Well,
I roughly know the details, but not very well. I know the broad strokes, but not the details.
Yeah, well, I had a girlfriend, and we decided by then I was working.
So you were out of school?
I was out of school, I was working, but that was, I was,
You finished high school at what, 17?
No, I was only 15.
Oh, what?
Oh, yeah, it took me a long time to get over that.
Wait, so you finished high school early?
Yeah, because I wanted to go on and do, because the schooling system in New South Wales, it was the third year at high school was intermediate. Then you did fourth year, which they called leaving, and then the fifth year was matriculation, and that was the last year at school. Okay. Then you went on to uni if you wanted to. Well, I wanted to do years 4 and 5, and I wasn't allowed.
Why weren't you allowed?
Because I don't think there was much money around, but that was never, ever explained. And I was a girl, and I was the eldest of 5 kids. So
what's why the eldest?
Well, and a girl.
Right.
So, so there's 4 more kids to come under me after me.
So they want to set the precedent of...
or they didn't have the money, and they thought they may not have, as each one got old enough. So my mother spent days talking me out of going that, and I was enrolled in business.
So what was your dream? What was your...
I don't know why. I wanted to be a pathologist.
Taking blood? That was, yeah.
No, I wanted to cut up bodies and...
Oh, okay. Whoa. Right.
Do forensic pathology.
That's what Charlotte's going to be doing.
Yeah, I know. She's sewing up there.
They put you in... Have I told you about my uni and look at the cameras and stuff?
Oh, I don't know what they've told you.
Oh, that's chopped up,
Yeah. Oh, I think you've told me, yeah. No,
Okay.
that's what, it wasn't just taking bloods. I wanted to, but I think I had to
See
be...
what killed them and autopsy.
Yeah, like forensic
Do you have
pathology.
any idea, like, if you take your mind back to inside the, the fabric of your mind back then, do you know what was the allure? What was the draw?
Probably something I'd read somewhere, and I don't think I realised I had to be a doctor to start with, and which I don't think I was brainy enough to do that. But the thing was that, in fact, I was probably the cleverest, the whole 5 of them, and I wasn't allowed to go on. So then Pam, after me, all she wanted to do was nursing. She failed her intermediate the first time, had to go back and redo it. And then Di, she was allowed to go on then. Oh, John he was dyslexic, which now, that wasn't a thing then, but I can see that he was dyslexic. And I think a week before he turned 15, he went and told the headmaster he wasn't coming back again, didn't even tell the parents. And Di, she wanted to do something in sport and go on, and she went on but failed.
Oh, okay.
So she ended up doing the same course that I did, TAFE, is TAFE now.
So what
It's
was
secretarial thing.
What was do you have in those few days of your mum trying to convince you out of it, what did she employ? Like, what did she use? What would have kicked you over the edge?
I can't remember really what but I don't think the money was ever, nobody ever talked about money. They didn't talk about
At
it.
all, yeah.
At all, with the kids anyway.
Yeah.
We didn't know. So I don't remember. I don't really remember what she said to, but I know she was pleading with me to didn't want me to go back to school. Wanted to go to, and how much better and easier it would be if I did a secretarial course and got a job.
Secretary, that's like, that was such a big thing back then? Because like, that's not a thing now, hey?
Oh, I know, but it was a year's course.
Yeah.
So like 5 days a week. So it was a full.
Yeah, but it's like, is that learning typing?
I learned typing, shorthand, English, accounting, and there was another subject, business something or other. Yeah, so it was more than just typing and shorthand. But it was, and then I got a job with the solicitor who my parents used him, and I was 16 and a half when I finished that course, and I started work at the solicitor's office, and the junior partner's secretary left at Christmas time, and they gave me the job.
Mm.
And I don't think I've ever worked as hard at any job as I did that job. But I lost my shorthand. I didn't like it really much anyway. But he used to record everything on a tape recorder, and then I used to type it back from that.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
So is that really just being like the right hand woman, the PA?
PA.
Yeah, PA. Yeah.
Yeah. Although it wasn't that involved now, I guess. As a PA now.
Yeah.
But I used to, work for him.
Okay, so that was in Uki?
No, that was in Wollumbar. And then that was, I was working there, and Barbara must have, her name was Barbara, but must have, I think she came to work at the firm as well. And the bus used to leave at, I think I was supposed to work till 5:30, and the bus used to leave at 5:30, so I used to have to leave at 5:20 to get the bus, leave work. I used to go in earlier in the morning. But Barbara and I got a little bed sitting room thing we rented in Wollumbar. Freedom.
So you moved out?
Moved out,
At 16 and a half, was it?
I was probably a bit older than that. I was probably 17, maybe. 17 and a half, 18 maybe. Yeah.
Hey, how was that? How was moving out back then? Like,
it was fantastic. It was really...
Same process of you get a truck and you move furniture? No, but it's the first time. Like,
no, it was rented. Oh, it was furnished, I think.
Furnished, yeah.
It was only little. It was virtually one room that had the beds in it, which turned into couches during the daytime, and a kitchen and bathroom. That was tiny. It was just up the street, but it was really good.
Okay, so like, what did you do with this freedom? I suppose, like,
yeah.
What was the biggest differentiator? Like, in your life and your day-to-day and your lifestyle?
Well, yeah, I used to go out. We used to go spend a lot of time up at the Gold Coast, up at Coolangatta particularly. That's where I met Bob. Oh, a dance land.
That's right. I
That's
went
it.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, dance land. Doing things like that, and I didn't drive. I didn't drive till I was up. I think I didn't drive when I had your father, but before I had Chrissy, I learnt to drive. But I did that because nobody would teach me.
So a lot of people's spare time was spent looking for opportunities to socialise, in essence.
Yeah, and we used to go. A lot of times we go to the beach a lot.
Yeah,
but you have to go up to Coolangatta.
And was the beach to go surfing or to
lie on the beach?
Lie on the beach,
yeah. And swim maybe.
Yeah, is the idea? I don't know how beaches. I don't really know how beaches operate now. Like beaches, then is it a social? Is it like to see and be seen? Is it? Are you?
No, I don't. I think we just used to go and lie on the beach and got in the water when you got hot. And although I didn't never learn to surf, I don't even know that surfing was a thing then.
Yeah, maybe not. I mean, surfing started. I think Australian surfing started in Cronulla apparently, but it wasn't 100 years ago. That's for sure. It was more recent than that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't recall seeing people on surfboards when we were at the beach. We used to mainly go to Greenmount, sometimes Kirra. Pam used to hitchhike everywhere when she was nursing, and it was forbidden. Like if she got caught, it was instant dismissal.
It's forbidden from the nursing school.
From the nursing, well, she.
Why would that be forbidden?
Oh, because it's dangerous.
I'm hitchhiking the Outback in a few weeks.
Oh, no.
This might never make the internet because I get chopped up by some Northern Territory.
Oh, no. You can't be doing that, Tim. No. You're going to hitchhike?
Yeah, I'm flying to Darwin and hitchhiking down Adelaide.
Get the train. There's a perfectly good train. I know it's expensive. It's expensive, the train.
It's boring.
Oh, no. Well...
Then I can meet characters and interview them.
Oh, okay. All right. No, it's a bit scary these days, but it was scary then.
Yeah,
but she's
way less scary now. Then you're completely offline. No one knows where you are, what you're doing. Or
she'd be in the beach at Coolangatta, and she'll decide she wants a milkshake, so she'll hitchhike to Surfers Paradise to get it. That's stuff like that she used to do. Her and a friend.
Perfect. No,
she was bad. I think I hitchhiked with her once, and I was shit scared, so I didn't ever do it again.
Do you remember what that was like?
Yeah, I was shit scared. I know that, and I can't remember who we got a ride from. The other time I was really scared was much later. I was driving up there to visit the oldies, I suppose, and I was on my own. I had Chrissy and Marty with me, and they were only young kids, and my car broke down. I was sort of coming into Moolumbar, more or less, but and my car broke down. The battery went, which the alternator light had been on since hours, and I thought it'll be all right. I'll get there. No, wrong. And anyway, I'm on the side of the road, and these two old guys pulled up, and they said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "No, the car's broken down." And where are you going? I said, "I was going to Uki." I don't know we know where that is. We'll take you, they said. And I went, "Oh, okay. Thank you very much." I'm thinking, get in the car with the two kids, thinking, well, they wouldn't do anything with two kids. Then they said, instead of going into Moolumbar and out again, I want to go around the wet weather road. And I'm thinking, because there was a wet weather road that if the bridge at Blangham was underwater, you could go around there, and I'm thinking...
So they're like bypassing town on the dodgy, weird road that no one goes.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I started to panic a bit then, and but they were fine. They took me to the top of when we got to the farm, I said, "This is it. Let me out here. Thank you very much." And I didn't even let them drive over to the farm. Thank you very much. And
I think guys have and I catch myself sometimes. I mean, I'm not in this situation very much, but like, I think guys often forget their perception from especially a female stranger. Like, you kind of want to. I mean, it's not your responsibility to placate that, but like. It helps.
Yeah. Still a scary thing.
Yeah.
That and the other time I was scared too. And that was your grandfather's fault. I was driving again by myself with, I think I only had Marty and he was only little. And I was going I was in the LTD, I know that, and I was going, I went the back road, Putty Road, which goes round through Windsor in Sydney. And I was going through to Canberra to Di's place when she was living in Canberra. And I thought I'd stay in Singleton, but for whatever reason, I didn't have any money. But they wouldn't take a cheque, so I just said, I'll sleep on the side of the road, says me to myself. It'll be fine, which it was, but it was
back in the day.
Oh, it was very scary, and I've sort of pulled off in a little thing on the side of the road, and the only people that used that road were trucks, and some of them would pull into where I was, and they'd wake me up, and then I'd be scared, and take me ages and ages and ages to go back to sleep, and then another one. It was a nightmare. I was a bit scared that night too.
No, I mean it's definitely different as a girl. Lisa, okay, so just before we meet Bob, are there any moments that kind of stand out? I like to think about lives as movie. Like, if your life's a movie, are there any in this chapter of Uki in that area? Are there any that was a peak moment, whether good or bad? Like, well, not particularly.
No, it's I'd have to think about it, I suppose. But moving out was definitely that was good because I got a bit away from Uki. And even then, I remember being at the Coolangatta Hotel one night. I was 18. I was proper age and everything, and I got up and got a drink, and I was sort of coming back to the table, and somebody I knew from Uki, I didn't know they were there, saw me, and then came over and said, "I wouldn't let people see you with a drink in your hand like that. They'll talk about you." And I'm thinking, see, stuff like that I hated.
Right.
Hated.
Why? Because you were part of that religious group and
no, it wasn't. It was just not the done thing, I guess.
To have a drink.
Yeah, or to be seen, to be.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I didn't drink much, but when you go out to the pub, you'd have a drink.
What else are you doing in the pub?
Well, we used to go to see this band.
Right. But the pub's not making money if you're seeing the band.
That's right, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, cool. So, what is, Anna, avoiding all sorts of emotional, what was the story of Danceland? And
I don't even know who I was there with. I would have been there with somebody because I didn't often go to places by myself. We would have gone to the Coolangatta Hotel first and been at Danceland, and then Bob came up and asked me to dance, and so I did.
What do you have any recollection of any detail of like that first impression or anything?
Probably that he was tall because I'm quite tall, and quite often, and I never used to, because stiletto heels were in. I had one pair. If I ever wore them and somebody asked me to dance, and I'd get up and I'd be that much taller than them, maybe that. I don't know. So I danced with him, and then he wanted to take me home, and I said, I live a fair way away. But so we went up to the parking place up in up near the water tower, I think it was, in Wollumbar. But and then he dropped me home after we'd had a bit of a snog up there, and then it came that. But apparently, I forgot to tell him how to get out of town.
So you didn't no idea where he was going?
Yeah, well, he probably came in one way and then he dropped. Although where we lived, Barbara and I lived, wasn't very far, but he had to go back across the river and back out into the highway. And apparently I didn't tell him that.
That's funny.
There you go. And I didn't drive. And so
did you have each other's contacts somehow? Like, what was...
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you see in the next few days or...
Yeah, I think so. And then he came back to Melbourne.
And do you remember, like, was that, and again, it's because there's decades since of all sorts of other stuff, but like, was that a kind of standout night? Like, as in, was there more to that connection than otherwise?
I don't know, he couldn't dance.
I don't envisage him being ever able to dance, no.
Yeah, he's got no sense of rhythm at all.
So I can blame him then.
Well, we should have got some from us because we were.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm trying.
yeah, well, the thing was, you see, but you mess around with the guitar, so you've got a bit of music in you. So yeah, which always amused me because with Kim and Sam, they decided that they'd be as musical, but the music comes
It doesn't. Yeah. Okay.
doesn't come from that side. So yeah, so no, nothing. I don't know. Just happened. It wasn't. I can't even remember who I was there with. I really can't. So.
Okay, and then what's like so he was only up there for a bit, and then he goes back to Melbourne.
Yeah, so we must have been writing to each other because then I decided he wanted me to come down here, and I decided I would, but my father was being very difficult, and I don't even know why.
So you must have liked each other a lot if you're going to move down.
Yeah, but a lot of those things then was like a feeling of getting away, and it was an out, I guess, for something different. You go to bloody South America, I come to Melbourne.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
But if there's like if there's a girl or a guy like to kind of do like smooth that transition, it's like, oh yeah, I'll tag on to that. Yeah.
But it was I'm trying to put a time frame on it. I think it might have been about a year because he would have been up there sort of like the end of 1 year holidays. And I know I left where I'd been working and came to Melbourne. It was February or I don't know. Yeah, so I don't know what the time frame was. I can't remember. But my father, I know I went home for some reason and I wrote a letter. And because everyone wrote letters, and they used to put whatever letters had to be posted on the kitchen table. And my father used to take them over when he did his milk run, take them over and post them. And Bob never got that letter. And all of a sudden,
so you wrote a letter
and said I was coming and talked about stuff like that. And all of a sudden, my father, we hadn't told him because he was being an asshole, so we didn't tell him that while I was going. Mum knew. But and all of a sudden he knew, and Bob never got the letter, and the bastard bloody would have read it. He would have seen it and would have on the way over to Uki would have
So you gave the letter to your dad.
Well, I just put it with the rest of the letters that would be posted. Yeah.
Okay. So did you?
So he wouldn't speak to me when I got on the plane. My grandmother was on the plane as well. She was going down to Hobart because my auntie lived there, and she used to go and spend 3 months down there with Auntie Bunty. And she was on the plane as well. And he drove us to the airport. He wasn't even going to do that, but Mum made him. And then didn't even come and say goodbye to me.
Mm.
So.
And did you, so you were fully like moving to Melbourne, but the intention was always to like you be with, Bob there. Wow. Okay. So how was that? I mean, because you hadn't had a relationship in the Gold Coast at all, like really, right?
Yeah.
So like it started with this like high expectation, high pressure in Melbourne. What were those initial stages?
I was staying at their house in East Malvern.
Yeah.
Which was difficult because
like Bob was living with his parents?
Yeah.
Okay.
Margaret was overseas. She was I didn't meet her till a long time. I think Bob and I were married. And I didn't before I met Margaret. And he used to go on and on and on about Margaret and bag her and all. And I said to him one day,
that's his sister?
Yeah. It's your sister, don't you love her? And he said, oh yeah. And I was thinking, oh, okay.
Maybe where I get. No.
Maybe. I don't say it like him, no. Oh dear, oh dear. Anyway, so yeah, it was quite difficult though because Nan Brown used to live with them as well. That was the Nan Brown but her mother.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And
so
she was,
I kind
was
of
Nanna,
remember
I think.
a photo of us, but I think I was so small. So his mum and her mum.
Yeah, Nanna. She was Nanna actually, and then Nan.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she used to do all the cooking and stuff. Nan Brown was
to you specifically or to everyone?
Nan Brown was strange. she had, she was, she had mental issues. She was, not strong mentally, I should say. Probably shouldn't be saying this.
I mean, yeah, feel free to.
He's, so, and for whatever reason, they gave me Nanna's bedroom, which was downstairs. It was a 2-story house. And Bob was upstairs, and Nanna she used to have to climb up these stairs to go to her bedroom, and she was quite old. I sort of remember her as quite old. She was still around when I had Darren, I think. Yeah.
So you've had Darren while living in the house with Mum and stuff?
No.
Did you guys move out together at some stage?
Oh, yeah. And then we bought the house in Baronia. Which in his book, he says that his father paid the mortgage off and that. And
oh, really? No. I've been bad. I haven't read fine details of that book, I'm afraid.
Because Chrissy said to me one day, "Is that true?" And I said, "No." Because Chrissy reckons I should have given me the book to bloody vet it before.
Okay.
Before
you got the pod.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know.
Cool. So like those early days, like how? Okay, this is a question I can frame it as. What was the difference now that you've helped quite closely with some raising grandkids? What's the difference between that process and your experience of raising grandkids when you're kind of, you know who you are and you're set up and blah, blah, versus I'm basically alone, well away from my friends and family in this other house and this other world, but they're my own kids, which isn't like what's the comparison of those two?
It was very difficult, actually. I had no support here. Nan Brown was, I'm supposed to give her a due, she tried. And after I had Darren, I didn't go back to work.
By Nan Brown, you mean Grandma's mum?
No, I mean...
The grandma?
No, Nan, I think Grandma was Nanna Brown, and Nan was the one that, Darren's grandma. When I had Darren, I didn't go back to work for a while because it was, you used to stay at home with your kids, and then Bob lost he didn't lose his job. He left his job to do a course.
That was a Ford thing, right? He was like...
No, it was way before Ford.
Okay.
He left to do a course, a 3-month course, which he did, and we had enough money for that. And then, but he then had planned that he would get a job straight away after he did the course, and he didn't. He couldn't get a job straight away. Because in those days it was pretty easy to get jobs, Anyway, so then we were running out of money, so he wanted me to go back to work. And I said, yes, I would, but I needed help. Initially we used to take Darren, he was only 6 months old, I think, to Nan and Papa, because I lived in East Malvern for her. But he was probably 6 months old, but by the time Darren was 9 months old and started to crawl, she couldn't cope. So we had to put him in a childcare place.
Okay. Oh, that young? Yeah, okay. Yeah.
And it's only supposed to be for 6 months, but no, that extended, and I got no help from Bob at all. He was useless, and all we did was fight. Yeah, it wasn't good. But
so was that the case? Did that get better as years went and Chris and Marty?
Not really, no, because he still never helped. Well, I don't think I think it was the same with the girls, although he might have been a bit better by then, but he just didn't. But that was, I suppose, almost the thing in those days that men did less.
Like, my image of him, particularly, especially in his youth, 20s and 30s, was like this just like entrepreneurial spirit, just trying all these projects and stuff. And like I don't know how the world was back then business-wise, but certainly now that's actively encouraged, and internet, unlimited leverage, the network is as high as you want it to go. Back then, you're kind of limited in your prospects and your people and stuff. So it's kind of, but I imagine there's not a lot of room for child rearing and whatnot in the mind and heart of such a life.
No. So anyway, But it was much different, by the time I was looking after grandkids and especially those twins because, I spent half. But I could do it. I mean, I haven't gone by then, so, and I could do it. I had time, whereas Maria couldn't as much as I did, so, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And I hope I'm treading carefully enough, but I obviously want the information as well because most of it I don't know or won't know stories and perspectives, and I really, So, like, what was the breakdown of that marriage, the divorce, and then the next chapter? What was all that?
That basically was Leona. No, well, that's not right. I mean, not fair, but it takes two, and I really don't believe that anybody can break up a marriage that's happy. So we were okay, but not.
You're functional, but
but not
maybe not a lot of love.
Yeah, not So
do you feel like he was a partner, like a life?
No,
yeah,
no, because he it was more and more about work, or it was always about work with him, and very little help that I ever got, looking after kids or whatever. But but I don't have nice things to say about her, so maybe you don't want to hear them. So because she deliberately, I know from somebody who worked. They didn't work with her, but they worked in the same place after her, and her reputation was quite bad by then. She was married, she was married, but not happy, no kids, and she decided she wanted out. So she was having both of them was bobbing with this other guy at the same time, both married, and whichever one was prepared to leave their wife first, she would go with. So, and I mean, Bob was fairly easily led, I suppose, in that, and I didn't realise for a long time what was happening. But then I was in the office one day and I saw a look. It was just a look between them, and I went, "Uh-oh, something's happening here." Yeah. So,
I mean, again, stop yourself. Like, there's no pressure, but do you remember that moment, for instance, seeing that look and seeing it in front of you, how it felt, what that was like? Do you remember the drive home or something like?
It was that. Then there was because Bob used to build stuff on the side. He had a building company, which always went broke eventually. And he'd built 4 units in Baronia, and they'd been built, but they needed cleaning up before, after the builders leave, it's a mess. So we'd organised this night, and he said, the owner's coming to help. Him and I were supposed to be going and cleaning up. I don't know what I did with the kids, probably just left them at home. Once they were asleep, they were asleep. Darren was older, I suppose, then by, I don't know.
So the kids are home and you were going out, was it?
Oh no, we were going to clean up these units, and
clean up the units.
And then Leona, he said, Leona's going to help because
clean the units.
Yeah, because Terry because he was a country rep, and he used to go.
Her husband.
Yeah. Used to go off for a week, whatever, touring around the country.
And the kids were just happy at home, like?
Well, it was after tea, and I probably put them to bed, and they all went to sleep. And Darren was probably 14. I don't know how old he was. He was probably that age, 12, 14 or something like that. So I know I didn't have them with me. But what happened was they went up, there was 4 units in a row, and I was in the first unit cleaning up, and they were down the last one. And we were there for a couple of hours, and then they came down, a pair of them, they had done nothing. They said, "We've done nothing, we've been sitting there talking all day." And I went, "I'm not happy." But then, I don't know what time frame, Alan Hope, who, I don't know whether you've ever met Alan. Alan and I grew up together in Uki.
Okay.
And he...
I might have met him.
Yeah. Oh, he hasn't lived in Melbourne for a long time, but he came down on holidays when I was pregnant with Darren. He came down with my brother, with John, and they stayed with us. And John, I was trying to convince both of them to stay here, and I convinced Alan, but not John. So I grew up with Alan, and he used to work for Bob at one stage at this particular time. So he came over
when Darren was
no, yeah, when the marriage broke up.
Okay.
Alan came. Bob sent Alan to tell me that he wasn't happy in the marriage, and that's
so breaking up over text.
Pretty much
Breaking up via
a friend, yes. Yeah, so yeah.
Okay.
So it wasn't good. But yes, she's
So was it a like a messy time?
Yes.
You personally, how was it going through these things? Because again, you're still, I mean, you've been there 12, 14 years or whatever. Had you built enough of a network outside of the family life and marriage to support you through that?
Yes, I had, but our friends, some went with him and some...
So it was a bit of a...
Yeah, it was like that. And especially at school, at where the kids went to school, at Yarra Valley, especially there. Because I think we were one of the first ones that ever split up. And,
really? Also, divorce wasn't a big thing still at this
time. No. And and it was so bad that I went... They used to have for each year level, they used to have a fundraising thing. It was usually dinner at somebody's place or something like that. And I remember going by myself to one of them. I don't know which kid it was. And I was treated like an outsider, like by the women, thinking that I was going to be after their husbands.
You?
Yeah.
Oh, because you were recently... Okay.
Yeah. So all the women, they wouldn't have anything to do with me. It probably wasn't Chrissy's year because I was quite friendly with a lot of them.
Were you after the husband?
No. No. But that's how it was. That was the perception, which was really bad. Yeah.
It's such a... I imagine that this somehow correlates with like the change in times, probably through your generation and through your generation where it's relevant and your lifestyle of like, 10, 20 years before, it's kind of suck it up, buttercup, real conservative, held in by like social mores and religion.
Yeah.
That divorce isn't even on the cards. To like 20 years later, everyone, man and the dog is getting divorced, right?
I don't even try anymore.
Yeah, a bit of a trailblazer of like, like you and your story and that relationship and dynamic and characters involved are just early representations, canaries in the gold mine for like what everyone's kind of scared of like their own. Like, we fight sometimes. We like, So it probably wasn't about you guys. It was probably about the...
Yes.
Interesting.
Anyway.
Okay. So how, and like ashamedly don't have very many memories, but I know eventually you found Ivan, and that seems like, the true thing. What and how long was the time spent between?
Oh, it was about 3 years, I guess.
Okay. So what were those, any moments of those 3 years, or is that kind of just a blur for...
there was quite a few blokes I went out with, and I believe there was somebody told me something got thrown back at me by Bob. Could have even been in the court process because he was such a bastard. I was in court 9 times in 6 months.
Wow.
And then... a year or so after that, even, that was all about property. And then he wanted the kids as well. Not Darren, because Darren was old enough, but the other two. So we had a custody case that went for 3.5 to 2.5 days. It was a nightmare. I'd seeing other blokes, but yeah. But I was going to say that somebody told me, it got thrown back at me, that I'd met some guy somewhere and gone home with him or whatever, and Bob had followed. Bob had got him to follow me. Some I don't know who told me, but yeah, I got through.
What? Who had followed?
Well, the guy that I met that night had been
planted.
Yes.
Oh, like a honey trap. What?
Yeah. So I don't know how true that was, but yeah.
Drama at the very least.
Oh yeah, drama.
It's
well, I didn't know. I mean, he didn't tell me, but it got thrown back at me. So. Yeah,
I'm sure it's obvious. It's obvious in my mind because it's so interesting now. Like, I wasn't I was maybe rolling around dad, as a 14-year-old somewhere. And so for me, not existing, my perception of all these characters has the like ability to, this stuff isn't really relevant, which is why I think like I'm happy to listen to this and that. But it's certainly fascinating to like, I guess my question is, how is it, because you were there and it affected you and it actually affected you, like none of this affected me, so I can kind of just enjoy the story and the drama, so to speak, like as bad as that sounds. How's it been to, once you have kids with someone in your family, you're never removed from them, you just can't.
Yeah, that's right.
So like, how's it been to navigate family dynamics and tensions and frictions and whatnot then and since?
Well, it was very, very difficult to start with. Because we're in court so often and there was a lot of going on. And I can remember Darren's 21st, and it was really funny because last Wednesday I went for lunch at the Knox Club with some friends, and that was where Darren had his 21st. And I was talking to him on Wednesday morning, and I said, I'm going to the Knox Club today. But I think both Chrissy and I got pissed before we went there that night.
For the 21st?
For Darren's 21st.
How old was Chris?
Not old. He would have been, what is he, 5 years? So he would have been 16 or 17, but he was drinking.
That wouldn't have looked good at court,
Oh, I know. When I remember Darren talking about his 21st and saying they were talking about having it at Warrenwood, and would I go?
For context, that was the house.
At the house, yes. And first of all, I said yes, I wouldn't. Then I thought about it, and I thought, no, I'm not. Don't want to. So that, they had it at the Knox Club. But stuff like that was really difficult. And in the end, there was sort of a truce happened, and we were all civil to each other and stuff. But lately, I won't speak to her. That.
But in the course of my lifetime, again, like I've known and increasingly known details from both sides, and obviously they're going to be conflicting others because there's different emotions and characters and stuff. And I don't want to make it about he said, she said, because who cares? I mean, I don't care. You guys care, but I don't care. But in the course of my lifetime, I've definitely seen your perspective be like, truce, and then to looking quite good and having conversation, and then be like, 30, 40, however many years after now, it's like not. So how has that evolved? What is that?
Oh, she was very, very rude to me at Sam and Matt's wedding.
Okay, yeah.
And quite uncalled for. And
would they have, like, as in that moment of rudeness, or like, would that have, if isolated, if it was someone who was kind of new to the family, if it was Matt's sister or something, that rudeness, would it carry the same consequence socially? Or was it based on all the context preceding it?
Nobody else would have said it to me.
Yeah, okay.
What she said. So, and I just went, enough's enough. I just, I don't care. I don't care about you. And I really don't. I just think, well, you're a manipulative, and she always has been. And I got stuck into Bob one time. We've been to Marty's birthday thing, and Chrissy and Kelly and I picked him up and taken him there, and we brought him home. And I'd had a few drinks. And so had he, for that matter, and I just laid into him and
into Bob.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he won't remember. Kelly thought it was hilarious. She said, "You're having the best time on your head."
Yeah. Okay, so like, I guess a question, because what I have seen, and I hope this doesn't sound like a shot, but I've noticed like this kind of harsh lockout, don't care, don't have time. And I think I'm not going to judge the placement of that on Bob Leona, but I'm pretty sure you had that kind of ethic for Delta Goodrum or something, like.
Oh yeah, I just don't like.
And like,
there's people like that.
Stuff like that. I'm like, hang on, but you don't. So at some point, it's a question of, at least I raise the question of, okay, how much of it is the external fact? How much of it is the internal? Like, oh, this is a me thing of, this is the way I deal with stuff.
Well, I inherited that from my father because he was quite like that, and all of us pretty much have got traits of him that we don't like.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't a very nice person
So
either.
would it be fair to say that that's probably not the best trait, but fair enough to use it in that context? Maybe not fair enough to use it on some random celebrity, but
Yeah.
it's a harmless thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's harmless, and I just don't like her, so I won't watch her. And there's other people. There's a few. Jane Bunn's another one.
Is that a wet lady or something?
Katrina Roundtree.
List them off.
There's a few. They just don't get on my TV. I just go, no, if you're on there, I'm not watching you. But with Leona, it's just, she was nasty to me and was uncalled for. And I just went, look, that's it.
Yeah. Okay. So let's.
But now she, bearing in mind that now she denies that she ever said that. But people heard. Alison was with me, and she heard what she said. So, and it wasn't like I made it up.
Yeah. I don't personally know the context for anything.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's move to Ivan, because again, in my mind, that's like, would it be fair to say like you're kind of your one, like, the good marriage and stuff?
Yeah, yeah.
What was the love story initially there? Like, how did you guys meet him?
I met him at a singles night.
A singles night?
Which I used to go to singles nights.
Were they good? Because nowadays, I have a mate who was telling me about going to, I guess, what's a singles night, and modern day single nights sound like so bad, like just atrociously desperate and sad. Like,
pretty much.
So before the internet, it might have been better. Like,
we didn't have that stuff on the internet, but I don't think that's great either. So, but I'd been to a lot of singles night, and I got sick of it, and I didn't want to do it anymore. And the person that lived next door to me at the time, her and her friend were going, and they wanted me to go this particular night, and I said no, I denied. I said I'm not going. Anyway, in the end, they nagged enough that I said I'd go, and I met Ivan that night. But it was really funny how I met him as well, because it was a dance thing, and this guy had come over and asked me to dance, and I got up, and I very rarely say no to anybody. And then the second time he asked me to dance, he's talking about going back to his place and listening to music, and I'm thinking, I don't think so. Anyway, there's a whole group of us sitting around a table, and I was sitting with them, and we saw this guy coming back across the dance floor, and somebody said, quick, here he comes again. Somebody sit next to Jenny and look like they're with her. So with that, Ivan sat next to me, grabbed me and started to kiss me.
What? full Mackinac.
Yeah. Funny. It was very funny.
Well, it's an opportunity.
But see, he was...
So you hadn't talked to this guy?
Ivan, no. Oh, he's sort of there with the group, but not really.
That's great.
Yeah, and anyway, we went home.
So you really set the precedent.
But then when he was 10 years younger than me, and I thought, nothing's going to happen with this, So, and then it did. We just sort of kept seeing each other. And then we split up. He met this other bird somewhere along the line, and I think she lived in Sydney, and he met her down here though. Mm. And he went up there was one Easter. So he rang me up and he said, we'll have a bit of a break, Oh, no, okay, whatever. I was really upset actually. Yeah. And anyway.
Real quick, did he handle that well, or was it a bit Eastern European?
No, not great. So anyway, but I didn't know there was this other bird involved anyway. She came down from Sydney, and so they had a couple of days. I don't think it even took a couple of days. And he couldn't stand her. And he pissed her off back to Queensland, to Sydney. And on the day he then came round, I don't think he ran. I went round to Rob's place because I've been friends with Rob, for about 40 years.
Does he live around here?
He did live around here, but now he's moved to just down the road. So I was round to his place because he'd split up with his wife, and we used to have a bottle of wine and solve the problems of our various relationships. So this afternoon I was round there, and when I got back home, Ivan was in next door, John's with the guy next door, and
Ivan was just hanging out. Next door.
Because he'd come round. He could, because I wasn't home, and there was nothing. We didn't have mobile phones.
Yeah. Oh, so he was just like,
So he came round, and I wasn't there. Well, I still wasn't there. I got home from Rob's place and he was in John's place. So then, yeah.
Oh, because he's left this Sydney girl.
Yeah, he pissed her off,
Yeah.
sent her back to Sydney because he couldn't stand her.
Oh my
That
God.
was very funny. So, yeah. And then I was really surprised. He asked me to marry him, and it was...
Then?
Not then, no.
Okay.
No, later. And we weren't living... No, I don't think we lived together. Can't remember. I used to stay, but can't remember. But anyway, I was really surprised because I didn't think, because of the age difference. But, yeah.
Do you mind me asking... is that a bad question?
What?
To ask a woman's age, but in retrospect? Like, how old were you guys at that time?
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, what's wrong with you, Kat? I was 40, so he was 30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you'd already obviously had quite the tumultuous go at family life. Were you from the start being like, I don't want to do that again? Or were you open to, 40s pushing it to begin with? Like, was he really wanting a family of his own?
No, because, I couldn't to start with because I had my tubes tied, so I couldn't have any more kids. But I didn't want any more either. And he had not had kids, so yeah.
And he hadn't wanted it?
I think he would have liked it, but yeah. But he'd had a couple of relationships with women that had a kid, not his kid, so he'd never had a kid. This is a stupid cat.
Yeah, it's like a tiger.
Yeah, she's stalking something. She's wondering who's that
crazy
strange
face.
She's got no teeth.
Yeah, maybe that's what's the...
What are you looking? Oh, everything's been moved. That's what the problem is.
That's probably what it is, yeah.
Yeah, wondering what's happening. Yeah, so there you go.
Okay. I have one distinct memory of... I can't remember what suburb. What suburb do you guys live in together?
Ringwood East.
Ringwood East, and you had a playground at the end of the street.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I remember
that's
going there with the colour like Tiff and stuff and doing like an obstacle course and time. And I distinctly remember, for whatever reason, my only memory of Ivan is being in the backyard and him picking strawberries. You have like a strawberry bush or something?
Probably. Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are there any moments or like highlights or dark, like down moments of the chapter with him? Like how long did you guys have together?
It was about, I think we'd been married 23 years when he died.
Wow.
We'd been together a couple of years before that, so yeah.
Are there any when your mind glazes runs over that period of your life? I don't know how much you think about the past, but are there specific moments or thoughts or something that comes to mind?
Yeah, he could be quite. Ivan was different. I suppose the European thing a bit. His family was really strange. He had
Croatian, right?
It's Croatian. Yeah, he had two sisters and a brother, and one of the sisters died. She committed suicide and left a 4-year-old daughter. I think she was a druggie, apparently. Very beautiful. I've seen photos of her. The other sister was married. She was really nice, but he had a younger brother who was a fruitcake, and his father wasn't. His father was because Ivan was the instigator of them. They had to flee.
Yeah,
it was Yugoslavia then.
Early 90s, wasn't it?
Yeah. He was 17, I think. But the father wanted to go to Canada, and Ivan insisted they went to Australia. And the father was like, he had some mental condition. I don't know what it was, but he was like, his body was here, but his head wasn't, his mind wasn't.
Mm.
He used to sit at a bench and there where they lived in a unit and just stare at the wall in front of him. Neither his mother or father spoke English.
Did Ivan talk about that state as being inherent to his father, or because of stuff he saw maybe during the war? And
I don't know that his father, I don't think he fought during the war.
But I think it was a very civilian impactful war. Like around there, you still see random townhouses and just bullet holes everywhere.
Yeah,
in the countryside especially.
No, I don't know that there was anything like that. His father worked for the railways, I think, in Croatia, but I'm not sure what he did. He didn't talk a lot about Croatia. He never seemed to want to go back. He couldn't go back until he was after 40 because he still had likelihood of being called up in the
National
army.
Service, yeah.
So, yeah. And then we just never did. And, yeah, he didn't talk a lot about it.
What did he talk about?
Yeah, he talked a lot about how, because he didn't have much of an accent. His sister, who was younger than he, had a quite a strong accent. His brother had none because he was only 9 when he came here. But yeah, he talked a lot about how he learnt English and how he used to go to the pub and just sit and listen to people talking and, you know, and work out what they were saying.
That's cool.
Yeah. He was a good singer. He had a lovely singing voice and quite a good mimic because quite often singers are. Yeah. He didn't talk a lot about, he talked a bit about how they escaped, but not a lot. You know,
What was the broad strokes image?
yeah, there was never much talk about war. It was more about the restrictions of and they were very poor, I think. You know, he talks about how had shoes that they were too small for him, but his mother made him wear them until they could get new ones and caused him to have bad blisters and stuff like that, you know. I think they were quite poor. Yeah.
Just had a really strange parallel because, you know, you done your marriage and kids and then divorce and then like dad has done that and then you ended up with like Croatian and he's like, this is Russia. It's like, I don't know if there's anything to that maybe.
Yeah. I don't know.
Following in your footsteps.
Yeah, but he was yeah, Ivan was different, and some people couldn't handle the difference in him. That
So
how he
what
was
was
different.
like? What was it? Could you give me maybe one example? Just paint the picture of that difference. Like how did that manifest in a average Australian?
I used to go to sleep
situation?
all the time. It didn't matter where we were.
I think I've heard about this. So what was the famous? What? Okay, actually, I've heard this story so many times, but never in full detail. What was the story where you won 2 barbecues or something on Funny?
Oh, that was very funny. We were at your father's place when they lived in the unit, the townhouse. No, not a
Fairfield?
townhouse. No, in Parkville, the one
Parkville.
where you were
apartment
born.
thing, yeah.
The apartment, yeah. And they had there was a balcony, and then they had a seat along here. It was like a church pew, almost 3 or like three wooden seats, and he was sitting in the corner here. And Tiff was only little; she was only 2, and he's sitting there. He's gone to sleep, sitting up, and Tiff got up beside him, and she. I didn't see it happen but Marty was filming because Marty was doing. Every time he got hold of a video camera, he reckoned he was doing Ivan the movie. He used to call it. So he's filming Ivan, and Tiff got up beside him, and Tiff said something, and he didn't answer. So she she lost interest, and she went to get down, but as she sort of turned around because she's only little, and leant on him, and he just very slowly, and he bashed into the window, into the door, you know, like these doors.
Yeah.
Crash, his head goes on this, so he gets up, sits up, shakes his head, turns around, puts his head back on the chair that he was sitting on and goes back to sleep. It's really funny. But the only one that really saw it was Marty because he was filming it. So they sent that into Funniest Home Videos and we won the barbecues.
Did you see it on TV?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. The Funniest Home Videos is one of those that I vaguely remember it being when I was young, but it can't exist anymore because the internet is just that to the max. And now everyone's filming everything.
Everything,
so it's like
Yeah.
it's not even special anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. Wow. Okay. I guess on that like Funniest Home Videos, how, you know, you've lived and will hopefully continue to live a long life by any you know degree. But what are your thoughts? What are your emotions on how the world's changed in your lifetime? It must have changed more than maybe any lifetime you know, in
Yeah, although
civilization.
when you think about my parents and how it changed from them for, you know, to what it was when, because my mother was 96 when she died, so, you know,
Yeah, okay,
there was
yeah.
a lot of stuff. You know, a lot of the stuff that happens, I think, you know, for instance, all the young kids that get themselves into trouble, that, you know, the 12 and 13-year-olds that are out at night wrecking cars, stealing cars and doing horrible things, I think is a case, in a lot of cases I would say there's no parental control and discipline, there's no boundaries.
So that didn't happen back in the day? Or was it just underreported?
Oh, it was, I guess it happened because I remember Bob talking about how when he was 15 he was
So I feel like that's just like the news has to make a story. So like the one thing that
but
happens.
it's not. But it happens. It's all the time, and it's you know, and they threaten older people, and you know, I can remember Bob talking about how when he was 15 he was going around setting people's letterboxes on fire, and that maybe is what they did then, but now it's out of control. Well, in my mind, it's out of control, and a lot of kids, I said, have got no boundaries. There's the parents are afraid to discipline them, so and kids need discipline, and and it's I don't know. That's just my opinion. I just think that yeah.
And I don't want to just, I mean, question is essentially any regrets, but I'll frame it a bit better. Like, I personally definitely view my own life, and because this project is about viewing like a life as a story, essentially. So are there any, if you look back at your life lived and as a movie, are there any times where you're kind of shouting at yourself, like the character of Jennifer, like, I like do this or do that? Like, are there any moments where if you think back, like, I wish I could somehow shout at them to do something different to what they were doing?
Lots of times I think I didn't. I hadn't been perfect, and nobody is. But you know, lots of times I thought, you know, maybe that wasn't a good choice. But I guess you live with it. You learn to live with it, and try and do better. You know, yeah. I don't think there's anything that sort of stands out that there probably is. But yeah.
Okay, what has been the best investments? And we're not just talking money, and hopefully not money because that's kind of boring, but like of like your time and your energy and, you know, energy, attention. What have been the best investments with time and energy you've made throughout your life?
I think with my kids, they've turned out really well. And they not necessarily could have because of all the stuff that went on, but they have. And a lot of people compliment me on that. It's not just me, but I don't know that their father had much to do with them. There you go.
If there's anyone to compliment, it's the mother. Like,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. And in fact, I got cross with Chrissy the other day because we went down to Geelong to see Pam. She was down here to see a baby, and Bob had rung when we were out for lunch. So, and Chrissy didn't take the call, but he played back the message on the way back in the car, and he sounded like a little boy. And Bob did, and he said, "I've been out for lunch, and I haven't got any money. Can you drop me off some money?" And I said to Chrissy, "I wouldn't be doing that if I were you. I don't know why you give him money, because Bob half the time didn't pay them when they worked for him, to the point where, Chrissy had the kids and Kelly, they had the kids, and their heating broke down one winter, and Bob owed him, I don't know how many $1,000 in wages, and he said to his father, "I need the money to get the heater fixed," and Bob said, "Sorry, I haven't got it." As long as he got his $1,000 a week, whatever. So I don't know, his input, I think, was. But I'm so bitter and twisted, I wouldn't be giving him money now.
Yeah. So, and this is, again, I want to tread carefully, but it would seem, and I'm sure it seems, if anyone who's outside of that family, if anyone happens to watch this, especially the whole thing, I'm sure they'll see that for maybe, and not as you like it, but Bob and Leona and that whole thing holds a lot of power in you and your story and your life. Was there ever a stage where you tried to rid them of that power? Like, is there ever a stage where you like, okay, I don't want, like the Christian message of like turn the other cheek, forgive, forget. Like, was that ever on the option, or was it just too great of an impact for that to be on the cards?
The fact I suppose that we made it work without without too much trauma after a while for quite a number of years, and we were civil to each other and blah blah blah. But I tried not to ever say anything bad about. I never held back about Leona, but about their father.
While they were kids, especially.
While they were kids, yeah. I've never held back about her, but because she was, but they saw it anyway.
The only reason I say it is because, again, I don't want to say you have the responsibility to do that. I'm not here to be the judge, but there's the classic thing of like bitterness and talking ill and blah blah. It's like, it's like drinking poison and expecting your enemy to die. Like you've heard that before, I'm sure.
No, I haven't.
Oh, you haven't? Okay. And it strikes me as relevant. Would you? What does that hit with you?
With regards to her, you mean?
Yeah, with her and him as well.
Yeah.
Like it seems from the outside, it's like, oh, but you're poisoning yourself by holding on to that.
Yeah, I don't let things go easily. That's one of my problems.
Do you think I guess my question is, do you think or recognise you suffering because of that?
Oh, no, I don't. Now I just think that karma is karma. Yeah. They've got what they deserve, and and karma's there for everyone to.
Yeah.
So.
And last question, and you said at one stage you're religious, and then you kind of got off it. I guess it's two questions. Is karma, stuff like that, and a general vibe, as much as faith has in you and in your soul and in your life, or is there a stronger faith aspect?
No, well, as far as religion's concerned, I don't believe in that. I believe in karma, in what you put in, you'll get back, and that's simple, but
it works. And I guess the question that rolls into is, as someone who's probably has lived more than they will continue to live, and you're hinting on karma and the karmic retributions. What are your thoughts on mortality and death? And do you think about your own death? You've obviously experienced plenty of death, whether it's all the a lot of these characters today have since died. Where does it sit with you? What are your feelings and thoughts on that?
No, I just think we all have to die, and I'm fine with it now. I don't mind.
Are you waiting for it anyway? Do you think about it much?
No, not really. Sometimes I think, sometimes like on Wednesday I got out of bed and I could hardly walk because my knee was playing. I'm thinking, do I have to put up with this sort of stuff? Like, why do I have to put up? Why am I getting old? But no. And my friend Bev across the road died. Coming up, she died on Darren's birthday last year, actually. And she was lovely. She was a year younger than me, and she was really lovely. And I just think, God, to see her again. And I believe that, we're all up there somewhere. I talk to Ma every once in a while. So, yeah. And Ivan sometimes, dream about them sometimes. When you dream about them, I believe they're visiting you. So, yeah. So I don't mind. I don't care. I don't want to live to how old she was, 96. I don't want to. No.
A bit too long of an innings. Everyone's getting a bit.
Yeah. No. Don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So, and everyone says, your mother lived that long, and no. But my mother didn't treat her body like I've treated mine, so. So there you go.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I'm all out of questions. Is there anything else you want to do?
No, I don't think so. That was interesting, Tim. I didn't have any trouble.
No.
I don't think I'll probably.
People are surprised that they can. I think this might be better part of 3 hours.
Oh my God. Yeah, turn it off.
2:45.
You're not going to. Nobody will listen to that all this shit for that long.
Oh, I will.
That's
Yeah,
all that
well,
matters. I'm doing this for me. No.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I screen around the house?
Oh, do you want to see those old photos?
Yeah, let's go to the old photos.
Oh God, I've been sitting down way too long, and I just make sure the leg works, the knee works, which is not always happens.
No.
Oh goodness, don't be filming with it
Oh, this is all in.
like this. Oh,
Let's look at the Mount Warning first, because that
that's Mount. Yeah, that photo was taken in 1919, which was the year Ma was born.
Whoa. So Mount Warning's that middle
It's
one.
the middle one with the hook nose.
Yeah.
And that old building used to be the general store.
Unreal.
Yeah.
It's literally a horse and carriage.
Yes. Oh, I'll turn these. So these ones, it's cold now.
Yeah. So who's these?
That's Gray and Pop, my mother's mother and father's home, my grand.
Okay. So
Parents?
here's the Jackaroo.
No.
No?
He's the one that comes. Yeah. The
Yeah.
owner. Yep.
Awful cats.
Oh yeah, that my sister-in-law's dad. That's Ma and Auntie Bunty.
Wow.
And
So
I
that was
think
they were only 2 kids, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think Ma was about 5 then, which would make Auntie Bunty 3. This is Gray, my grandmother's father. He was the Lord Mayor of East Brisbane at one stage. Okay. And that's Pop's mother. No, yes, Pop's mother. Okay. Pop's mother, Gray's father.
So that's your mum's dad?
Grandfather.
Oh, that's your mum's...
Grandfather.
Mum's dad, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And this is the other side. These two weren't married. These were
No. And that's that one up there.
Which one?
That first one.
Oh yeah.
That's them when they're older.
No. Well, we've got so many characters here. I don't know half of these people.
Well, that's Ma and Pa. Or no?
Oh yeah, I remember seeing Ma like that. I don't think I ever met.
No, he only came to Melbourne. Also, there's another story about that. That's all of us when we were young. That's me. That's Pam, John, stuff. And
Di. Top left. There you go. Nice. Wow, that's epic.
Yeah.
This is my dad and Chris and
That's it.
This is a generation I know. Oh, there's Mum. Claire, Marty. Look at that. That's
Nick and Ray.
Nick and Ray. Yeah. I did have the right faces to mind eventually.
Chrissy and Kelly's wedding.
Very cool.
And then that's your generation.
It's literally generational, no?
Yeah. Why not put all these up to start with? And then I looked at it and went, no, it's all wrong.
There's this little...
Yeah. I've got another one of you two up here.
Oh, I've got my own one. Oh, is it? Oh, there we go. I don't know. It just glitched. Look at that. Look at that guy.
Yeah. There's
little Easter eggs for anyone who makes it this far. I'm twin. All right. Back on done.
And this is this one down here. That's Ma, and that's me, and that's Pam on one of her horses. That's out in there.
That's unreal.
Yeah.
The show rider.
Yeah. Well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, while we're here, I mean, we might as well finish it off. Are these anywhere in particular?
No, they've actually that's Churchill Island.
Oh,
those two are Churchill Island.
Philip.
The Prince, and that one's that's the dairy in Bayswater.
Nice. And this is Ivan, yeah.
That's Ivan, yeah.
That's from East, isn't it?
Yeah, he's painted that.
So my mum's mum. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Wow. I must show my grandkids this video. Just imagine that. Imagine having grandkids. What?
Yes, I know.
All right.
Oh, I'll give you this plate. Darren's.